Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panther fans? Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast, and tonight we're chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. And boy, was it a great day for Carolina Panther fans as the administration, the brass, held their pre-draft press conference. And of course, the big topic of discussion was the quarterback position. We'll be exploring the press conference tonight on the show and what it tells us about the team's plans. And I tell you one thing, that seems to be the case. The star that the Carolina Panthers are ready to chart the course of their future by seems to be Bryce Young. Yes, the projected number one in the draft had an incredible interview today on the Pivot podcast where he showed such poise and confidence. It's no wonder the Carolina Panthers seem to have their eyes set on him. And he's one of those damn people, guys, who's just so incredibly dynamic, so awesome, so polished. It's to the point where it's just damn annoying. And because for me, guys, it just reminds me how average I am. Well, I tell you one thing. Annoy me with your awesomeness, Bryce Young, because I've been annoyed by Matt Fool and a bunch of bum-ass quarterbacks for too long. Guys, the C3 Panthers podcast is going to be lit tonight, and you know who I'm rocking with, my wheelman, Cody Lashney.
Tony Dunn, you already know there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here with my boys, hanging, talking Panthers football, and that's exactly what we're going to do, baby. Listen, everyone and their mama is pointing towards Bryce Young being the selection for the Carolina Panthers. Maybe there's some rumors about trading down. To me, it seems like the Panthers are sticking at one, taking their guy. Listen, Fitterer is already giving out dietary advice for Bryce Young and how they intend to beef him up in this Panthers offense, man. But listen, as always, we have a ton to talk about. Happy to be here with you boys. And as always, you know we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. And listen, every time I do the roll call, I always get someone that gets mad that I don't say their name. So I'm saying every damn name on this list, Tony Dunn, and no one can stop me. I'm talking about my guy, Drew, BB Teachy, Blind Panther Vlogs, Anthony Piccarello, what's up? D's Ill Skills, Joe Riolano, one of the founders of the C3 Panthers Podcast, what's up, buddy? Joseph, Joshua Hall, Leo Factor, Matt MJF, Michael Wydrick, Nate's PNW Adventures, Off Grid, Preston Martin, Rock Rhyme, Tim Estes, Tim Stallings, Trucking Mogul, Underground West, Y Big Jordan, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Don't forget to support the C3 Panthers podcast by calling into the show at 252-228-5098. We want to get your thoughts on today's pre-draft press conference. What you thought of Bryce Young on the pivot. I don't know how you couldn't love what you have heard. And whatever else that's on your mind, from Austin Corbett and the perfect omelet to Chirp Chirp, Demir Bird is here to save the day. No wonder I am in such a good mood, because Scott Fitterer is the greatest GM of all time. CK, the voice that makes him moist. How do you feel today? Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I should be excited, nervous, fine. It's crazy.
Listen, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I have been in the most bipolar situation. Like, I have been super excited about Bryce Young. I've been super excited about CJ Stroud. The thing that's going to be real about what happens is I'm going to be ecstatic about who we pick and heartbroken about who we don't.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I don't want to have one of these guys slip through our hands, but we've got to. But you got to realize you're going to get some, hopefully one that is going to put you in a position to be a better franchise for the next 20 years. And that's what,
or 10 at least. Let's get 10 out of it.
I'm wanting 20.
I want
Yeah,
it all,
yeah.
baby.
122, but
Don't
10 is
sell
yeah.
yourself. Okay, go for the 20.
Yeah, I want the 20, dude. I ain't even playing that.
I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you at all.
Don't forget, guys, next Thursday night will be the C3 10th draft party where we live stream, and we're not live stream. It's our watch along of the NFL draft where we watch the first round guys. Some of these drafts in the past have had to go into the morning because the Panthers pick at 25, somewhere in there, whatever. Boy, we got a lot to talk about at number 1, but hey, you got to stick around because you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, what if we jump back up? What if we jump back to like 32? I'm telling you, the 10th draft party is going to be a doozy, Greg. I'm ready to get there, get this pick on. I don't know. Right now, I just feel like it can't be anyone other than Bryce Young. I've tried to kind of temper some of this conversation in the past weeks because people had spoken so emphatically and so confident on the matter, but I don't think there have been really much additional information. But today, I felt like the additional information finally was there. There's concrete stuff to build off, to reference, other than this rumor, that rumor. The Panthers seem to have their guy. He might be diminutive in stature, but boy, is he got all the confidence and all the charisma in the world. $1 million smile, Greg. And boy, one of the things for us, I'm a shorter fella.
I'm right there with you.
I'm with it. Like
right
it's
there with
like
you.
one of us, man. One of us. Oh, wait. Is that Matt bring back too much Matt Rule stuff?
Look, man,
PTSD.
I'm like what CK said, I'm totally down for whatever quarterback we draft, if it's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud in this number 1 pick, or should we trade back and still get one of these two? I don't care. I don't want to come out of this draft without one of those two guys. I do have my feelings, which I like. I like Stroud more than Young. And for me, it is totally a size thing. Has nothing to do with anything else but size. Coming from a short guy, I've competed against guys that were 5-6 inches taller than me.
It's tough.
That just because of their size have beaten me. Not that they're better than me or smarter than me, just because their size, when it comes down to it in the professional game, are better than me. Or I've never played in the professional game, excuse me. The next level are better than me. So that's my only thing. If we come away with Young, I'm fine with that. Okay. I will cheer for Young, and I hope the Young's going to be good. I just know that every cerebral quarterback I've ever seen come out of the draft, who are we talking about? Drew Brees, who wasn't even thought about that coming out of the draft.
Yeah,
Tom
nobody
Brady,
went.
Not even Tom Brady.
I don't know if people said that
Peyton
about
Manning.
them at the time, to be honest. Yeah, Peyton Manning.
Between the two of those in a 20, 40 years of career, you're looking at 4 Super Bowls. So, I mean, the between the ears, as far as mindset, does not always equate to being the best quarterback.
Yeah, there's some real, and I'll get into this as we get into the Pivot podcast. Is, are we just being kind of hypnotized by his charisma? But there is some real, there's some real good tape out there. He's won the Heisman. He's been successful at every level, and he has overcome his smaller stature. But what you'll find out is he's got an answer for people's concerns and about his size. And what I love about what he says, guys, and you'll hear it later from the Pivot podcast, is he said, you know what, is I've been dealing with people talking about my size my entire life. And it's a real thing. And he said it's okay for people to think about that and to talk about that. And it's just like one of those things that, hey, this is who I am. And if I'm going to play in the NFL, this is how I'm going to rock.
He's so even keel.
Yeah.
It's like nothing phases him.
Yeah.
And that's, hey, like, we're not going to pretend like that's not a trait you don't want in your franchise quarterback. He's ready to go. The moment is never too big for him, which is no pun intended, right?
I know.
But he's certainly sure of himself, which is a good thing to have in a franchise quarterback.
I was mesmerized by him today as I watched him on the Pivot podcast and some of the things I've seen in other places as I'm, getting glimpses of getting to know him, right? Or getting my first, intimate insights into his personality and things. I've heard about what people have said, but now I'm actually hearing and developing my own opinions about what his personality and what these things are. And I got to tell you, it's intoxicating. It's mesmerizing. And I try to just ground myself in moments and say, are the Panthers and potentially myself being too wooed by the sirens of great personality?
Mm-hmm.
And, being like, and I told you guys this before, this is the season that Bryce Young is going to win. And when I mean the season of the off season, AR-15 is going to win the combine. That's where that's where he's intoxicating, is at the combine. CJ Stroud, it turns out, is just like a good 6-pack of beer. Is like not too drunk. Not too. It's just like, but you know what? I like a good 6-pack of beer. So hey, is that Bryce Young? I just gotta wonder. I was smitten with him just listening to him. I hope that I'll be smitten with his play. We want to hear your thoughts at 252-228-5098. Don't forget, you could be a C3 super fan. Man, this is one way. We need your help. Continue to build the longest running Panthers podcast as we continue to expand. This is the year of C3. And one of the best ways you can do it is becoming a C3 superfan. The $1.99 donation, monthly donation gets you a extra perks, some swag in the chat room, and also access to some of the things that we're going to continue to roll out. Right now, it's been draft tape, but we will continue to make that C3 superfan a valuable asset. You can donate to the show directly, check Cash App tags, this, that, and what other. But man, the way you can really help us, subscribe, like, and go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. A lot of cool stories coming out. Go in there and accidentally clicking an ad is like hitting a 50-cent donation.
Yeah.
So that's what I say, is go to the website. Even if you don't want to read, click ad, move on. Boom. Google, I know you don't want me to say that, but who cares? You take 30% of the donations anyway. Cody, let's jump into this show tonight. First up, the pre-draft press conference.
Yeah, and listen, I went live today and I was able to stream this pre-draft press conference. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Got up to 340 something people. Big time turnout. Everybody was interested in hearing what Scott Fitterer had to say. And a lot of people kind of took umbrage with the fact that they decided to do the press conference today,
Kind of
literally
strange.
on the day that they're having both CJ Stroud and Will Levis into the building. A lot of people felt that it was disrespectful to even have Levis be a part of CJ Stroud's day to begin with.
No,
but
Why
let
didn't
alone,
they do the press conference yesterday?
or even
wanted-
after.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this. We'll
Mm.
start the show with this question, guys. Did the Charlotte media overlook the fact that the Panthers were scheduled to interview Stroud and Levis? They mentioned their names one time in this press conference. It almost felt like, as we watched the 30 minutes that they sat there and asked about the draft process, 28 minutes were dedicated to quarterback discussion, and the entire time felt like the only person people were interested in was Bryce Young. And what I mean by that, the media is only interested in Bryce Young, and the Panthers brass was only interested in Bryce Young. Poor this tweet right here by Ryan Not Reynolds on the block 01, big Panther fan, always a great Twitter follow, by the way. I always put a lot of his stuff on the show. It said, look at this, Stroud and Levis on the bus ride back to the airport. Man, it did not. It felt like they were non-existent.
Yeah, and shout out to Shannon Quick. She was really the only one that even mentioned it. And it's basically because people on Twitter kept on mentioning it. They were like, well, did you just schedule these far out in advance? Like, what happened? And yeah, Fitterer was basically saying, yeah, we've had these scheduled for a long time now, and that they're still in the process of doing their due diligence. However, he would also go on to note that they pretty much know what they're going to do. They haven't outright said to one another, Fitterer and Frank Reich haven't outright said to one another, this is going to be the player that we're drafting because they still feel like they're going through that process. But they said that they're all pretty close to the same feel as to where they're going to be going when it comes to this number one pick. And Tony, you wanna play a clip first, or how you want to go?
Nah, let's pop into this right now. Right now, I guess this is what we basically. This is a bullet point. Tell us what we got here on the screen. Let's go full screen on this and explain to us what this tells us about today's. I guess this is a bit by bit point about today's press conference. Here's the press conference in a nutshell.
Yeah, so basically, Fitterer says that they're finishing the board this week with college scouts, meeting with their coaches later this week, still going through the process on who number one is. Fitterer said they didn't say anything to Bryce Young to cause him to cancel his visits, because that's another thing we're going to talk about. Bryce Young canceled all the remaining visits that he had with all other NFL teams. So that's a pretty big deal. Fitterer said all 4 quarterbacks still in play for the number one pick.
He must have whispered that.
He whispered that. Anything out, dude? If you believe that,
yeah, it's like
if you believe that, I have some property on the other side of Mars, and I'm interested in selling to you, dude. And I promise I'll give it to you on a good deal. He also said, but this was interesting. I would hate being at number 9 right now, trying to figure this out.
We'd have Levis.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he just said.
Sure. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so this is where it gets down to. He dropped a lot of hints about Bryce Young throughout the course of this entire process. One of them was he was talking about short quarterbacks and balls being batted down at the line of scrimmage, a la Baker Mayfield last year. And he says in Russell Wilson's final year, he had 3 batted passes and Bryce had 2. So they are literally using every way possible to signal to the fans that they do not care too much about the hype. He would also go on to say that Fitterer says if there is a disagreement on who the pick will be, Frank and I will make that decision. But he also says he doesn't think that's going to happen.
All right, right here. Let's pause right here on, and I don't use the word pause like whatever these other guys do, which I don't really get. It took me a year and a half to learn what cap meant. I guess I don't care about what the pause thing is. I think I know it is. But let's go to clip number 1 when Scott Fitterer was asked about, and really and Dan Morgan chimes in on this, about who does this size. Are there concerns about it, right? Is he going to, and the only thing that I've said that, and I don't even think that the Panthers, the one thing I guess I don't like about this answer, guys, is that I don't think the size should preclude Bryce Young from being picked. I just think it should be something that you have to talk about and consider. So let's see what they got to say about the size. It feels like it doesn't bother them a bit.
This doesn't seem to be an issue. When you grow up, a shorter quarterback, you learn how to, evolve your game and adapt and see the field. And he's done that, just like CJ's, evolved his game. Will's evolved his game. They all develop, and there's certain tools that they have, and they learn to play to their strength, and they've all done that.
Yeah, to me, it's a lot more. It's not about so much the height. You got to have those pocket instincts, your ability to slide, find passing lanes. So you got to look at other things like that. And then obviously how smart and how well a quarterback sees the field is also important. So, you got to take more than the size into account.
CK, what I heard here is that the size doesn't matter in this case. We're drafting Bryce Young. You got a smart quarterback that knows how to play the game. He's played the game his whole life. I am fine with their rationale of why Bryce Young can overcome the size difference, but I'm not sure that they're acting like it's like being taller wouldn't be advantageous either.
I don't think that's. I think that they're saying that you develop different styles of being able to adapt with what your body type is. I think that's really what they're saying. What I found to be most impactful with what you just heard there. And there's multiple times during this interview that they did this. He mentioned 3 names. There was one person that was removed from that list, Anthony Richardson. He didn't even talk about Anthony Richardson at all today. Multiple times, Scott Fitterer answered a question, and he responded with names specifically regarding Young, CJ Stroud, and Levis, but always seemed to leave out Anthony Richardson in every one of his statements regarding, the improvements that they've made, things like that, right? So I think the most important statement that we saw there is the lack of a name being mentioned.
Yeah, throwing this over to you, Cody, and building off of what CK said. One of the things I gather from Bryce Young is in how polished he is that one, the stage in that moment from day one is not going to be a difficult adjustment, or will be less difficult of an adjustment for him to assume that role and all the pressure that comes with the number. I think they're so confident in his ability to step in from day one. It almost feels like they're just more interested. Well, they're not interested in winning what it's going to be like in 2 or 3 years. It's like, hey, it feels like a really right now moment too. And I'm not trying to say that he can't be good in the long run. I don't know if are they becoming a little too infatuated with what he offers from day one?
Well, I mean, listen, I think you have to put into context a little bit how bad our owner wants to win football games, and how things have turned out in recent years, where basically every single year David Tepper thought that he was going to have the team to make a playoff push the past couple of years in a row, and we weren't even close to it. So it is something to be said that Bryce Young, out of all of the quarterbacks right now, is the most capable of being able to step up and be able to play meaningful football right away. You also heard them mention, especially Dan Morgan, the subtle pocket movements. That there are things that you can do as a quarterback to make sure that defenders aren't getting in your throwing lanes, that you're able to move just enough that way you can see out in front of you.
What all Baker of those couldn't do.
Right. And everything that Baker couldn't do is something that Bryce Young can do. And also, let's not pretend they're, okay, we saw Baker Mayfield last year. We also saw PJ Walker. PJ Walker didn't have anywhere near the problems with batted passes that Baker Mayfield did. So there is a technical aspect to this. It's not as simple as, short quarterback equals batted passes. That's far too simple for us to just put it that way. And Bryce Young has all the necessary traits and attributes to be able to mitigate those types of things happening to him.
I don't like to call him a short quarterback as much as just diminutive stature, right? Is that it's just like he looks like a teenager. And you know what? He's only 21. To be fair, he is only 21.
Yeah, he's 2 years removed from actually being a teenager.
Yeah, but he looks like someone that would hang out with my son. It looks like a senior at my kid's high school, kind of almost. And now when it comes to his size, it's not just about being short. And so, I mean, seeing over the linemen is some things is more, but also being able to hold up against the Calais Campbell. And this is what I saw you mention this on the draft show that you guys did this past week, the creator draft. This is something that Mike Florio brought up when talking to Chris Sims, is that at some point he's going to go up against the Calais Campbell, who is 10 inches tall, is like 10 inches taller than him, and 100 pounds heavier. Now, will he be able to? There are ways you can mitigate that and some different things. But I tell you, is that one good thing? Hey, running backs sometimes benefit from not being able to be seen over the line. Maybe these defensive ends just won't be able to see him.
And
Where is this guy? Where is this kid?
and the fact that they're gonna have to reach so far down to be able to get him in, you know.
It's just gonna be hit to the head after hit to the head. Boom, flag. But the question is this, is there some room? And I do think it's a fair point to say is that we're not always talking about what you are, what you will be. Now let's go to clip 2, because Scott Fitterer was asked about this and asked about his size. And sometimes is that Joe Person comes in here and brings this in. And Cody, you have been pretty clear in saying this, that, and I think you said this to David Geddes maybe last week on the show. It's not the height necessarily and just bad at balls, but can that frame stand playing with the big boys? Joe Person asked him about his playing weight and how they're going to do this. This is what Scott Fitterer has to say.
Is that a concern for durability and longevity?
Yeah, I think, nutritionally we can do some things to educate him. We get him in the weight room. You can see when you really look at his lower body has gotten bigger. He's put on a lot of mass down there. A lot of times quarterbacks don't want to lift upper body because you get a little bit bound up. But there's some things he's going to naturally put on size as he ages as well. Again, going back to Russ, I think he came out at 200, maybe he might have been 206 pounds. He's at 220 now. I mean, guys just grow. That's something he can control, and that's something we can help him with. We can't control the height.
Okay,
I'm not sure this is really
it isn't
the most accurate discussion here, or a great comparison.
It didn't look good for him. Yeah,
well, it isn't, and I want to say this, that I feel like people have such a faulty idea of like how putting on muscle mass actually works, right? If you're a shorter guy, yeah, you can bulk up, but Bryce has a naturally smaller frame than compared to the guys that he's talking about. Dude, say what you want about Matt Corral. The guy is like 3 inches taller than him, and now he's up to 220 pounds. Just because you have some other quarterbacks that can bulk up, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to fit that much functional
or if that even really
mass
would help him all that much in some cases. Like maybe it's just being bigger alone, or it's being diminutive in stature, just fragility.
It might be his best playing weight to be around 195 pounds, 200 pounds. And listen, I'm not doubting that an NFL strength and conditioning system
isn't going to add on 10 pounds or something.
Yeah, I mean,
but don't expect him to be 225 one day. And
I don't think that he's ever going to be up anywhere near 220 pounds. He's not a very
and Russ looks heavy. Didn't you guys remember what the guy said? The former, it was the former one of the DBs or something for the Seattle Seahawks, and he wasn't even trying to be mean about Russ. He said he looks in good shape on the field, but you see him in the locker room, he's like a sack of potatoes. But Russ was older too. Here's the other thing: is Russ, when he came out and came into the NFL, he was not 21. He had already played like pro baseball or baseball. He played 4 years in college.
He transferred from NC State to Wisconsin. Yeah. He had been around. I don't even think of someone like Jonathan Stewart, right? Built like a running back, but he's around the same height. Well, just because they're around the same height doesn't mean that they have a similar frame and build. And I don't know. I just don't really buy into that. I do not think that that Bryce
he's gonna have great hips when we're done with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Bat Daddy's chomping at the bit. Go ahead, Greg.
No, this all comes down to what I was saying before, and the coach just said it right there about you can't teach size. We always complained about Cam Newton, and it's kind of a Shaq effect, how he got graded differently. He got calls called differently. Is it going to work the other way with a smaller guy? Are we going to get more calls on roughing?
Hell yeah. They're going to say, he got killed, dude.
Hold on.
Ejected.
I think that'd be great, but do you guys really think that'll happen?
Yes.
You really think so? Or in my opinion, I'm looking at like an RG3 type deal. When RG3 came out, man, he was talked about like he was the next big thing.
He was such a runner, though.
He was Cam Newton, but smaller, better in mind, and he could do better with more things. And Cam Newton RG3 lasted 2 years.
He
Right.
Which is what I
he was
expected.
a runner though. Bryce Young is just gonna have to hold up in the pocket, and that's what it is. Is probably
Okay.
is
Why
that it's
take the chance?
because wait
Why?
until you
He
hear him
might
on the
be
pivot,
Why
bro.
take
What
the
if
he-
chance?
He doesn't care
what if
why you
he's-
even say that, dude. It's crazy.
yeah.
This
The
kid,
prize is no
Um,
greater, no matter what you
they
pick.
are
It
taking
is
him,
no
man.
greater. I guarantee you, CJ Stroud cannot win a lesser Super Bowl than Bryce Young can. There is no greater Super Bowl to win. Why
There is.
take the
Um,
chance?
hey,
It
there's
doesn't make
Tony-
any sense to me.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to say real quick, a big time thank you to our boy, Just Don't Care, who gave another 5 gifted super fans to Michael Davis,
Mhm.
Lynn Leonhardt, Scott Thomas, Kenneth, Girth Brooks, Blind Panther Vlogs, and Fitness for Life. We appreciate you,
So
man.
it tells
That's
you who
big time.
gets them.
Yeah, it tells you who gets
Oh.
them. Yeah.
That's
Oh, nice.
awesome. I just looking at the StreamYard comments, and you don't get all that extra information. Man, that is fantastic. Being a supporter of the C3 Panthers podcast, you are already doing it by being here, by hanging out in the chat, by smashing the thumbs up button, subscribing. Check us out on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Go back, check out David Geddes' interview if you missed last week. It was really incredible. I know that I have a soft spot for kind of these I don't know, the fan story guys, you know what I'm saying, is like the Demir Birds speak to me. I've been a Cameron Artist Payne fan. I was a Ben Wickery fan, and I think he was a victim of circumstance. David Geddes was one of those guys who really showed so much promise in a bad situation, and just was derailed by injury and timing. It shows you luck and timing. And speaking of injury and what Greg is potentially fearful here, but you know what? He's a big giant guy, and he got injured, and his career was ruined, or cut very short. We won't say ruined, but the interview was so great. You guys can support the show by just going back, listening, checking us out, subscribing, leaving a review on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Let people know, man, this show has been rocking, and we're in our 11th year. You can call into the show at 252-228-5098. And Greg, I was going to say this. It doesn't really matter about why you should take the chance. Cody, can we pull up the image of hey, the odds have been closed out. The book is closed.
Oh,
the
yeah.
book is straight closed on the BetMGM is not taking bets anymore on the number 1 pick. They said nope, because everybody's going to bet Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to pay. They're only taking picks on who will be number 2. Who cares what you think? The book is closed, dude. Bryce Young is the guy.
So that means if you got a bet in before this and you bet against that and Carolina doesn't go Bryce Young,
dude,
you are off for a year or two. At least.
My guy Anthony Piccarello, who by the way gave a super chat, said the Pivot podcast sold me. He is the truth. I think that sold a lot of people, Anthony. But I know Anthony got in on the action when Bryce was, I think it was plus 230 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he got
way
he
to
got
go.
in. Yeah, he got in when the getting was good. So shout out to Anthony.
All right, well, don't worry, Anthony. Hang out. We will have some audio from the Pivot. That interview was incredible, and the Pivot is phenomenal. I tell you this, these guys, every one of them on that show has just kind of a cool knack for asking good questions too.
Yeah.
Right. It's like these questions were thoughtful.
Channing is awesome. I love
They felt
Channing.
natural. Every one of them asked a great question. Who's the DB? The former
Ryan
DB.
Clark.
Yeah, he's incredible. They're awesome. Every single one of them brings something very thoughtful to the table. And I was just so kind of a little jelly because, I wasn't a player. This is some of the things they think about and some of the ways they think really give some great insight. So hang out for that. We're going to get to your calls too in just a moment. The number's 252-228-5098. We got one last thing, I guess, when it comes to the pre-draft conference before we get into Bryce Young. The Carolina Panthers were asked, strangely, it almost felt like they hadn't even thought about the rest of the draft. Now, if we go
Right.
back,
There's more drafts.
yeah. Now they did say we're 1 week away. They did say that they had 1,300 names that they have write-ups on 1,300 prospects. They have whittled their draft board down to, I think, about 139 names. And but really, even this press conference, even those issues were they took second fiddle. Not even. It was like it was Scott Fitterer was like, we're just gonna get this quarterback thing right, and then we'll see what happens. It's gonna be awesome, guys. Cody, what happened what did Scott Fitterer? Let's go to the clip on Scott Fitterer talking about the Panthers' other draft needs.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Oh, I guess it'll help if I unmute it.
Yeah, I think you always need a pass rusher. I mean, we could beef up offensive line. We've done a lot of things at receiver, but you can always add a receiver, linebacker. I mean, no team's ever complete, and you can always add whoever. But we're gonna the whole part of like free agency is for us. This is our philosophy and has been is to go into the draft to be able to pick the best player available, and so we've done that. When it comes down to best player available, and there's two guys at certain positions, and one position is a need, say it's a linebacker, then the need is a linebacker. So going into it, we're aware of where our weaknesses are, and we'd like to address that.
All right, so he pulled out the old Dave Gettleman.
Right.
You know what? He should have gone back and listened to what Dave Gettleman said, because it was just such a reserved way of saying you use free agency to set up the draft.
Yeah,
that's what we did. Dave Gettleman said that so long. It was just, Dave Gettleman, if you would have just listened to your damn own advice, you might have been the GM for a little bit.
Dave was magic on the microphone, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling
he was so great.
Good, good.
But he just didn't listen to his own advice. So if that's the case, the Carolina Panthers have positioned themselves to take best player available. What have we learned so far? First, we learned this is that the Carolina Panthers really feel comfortable that they moved from 9 to 1. That's what he said. He said we feel like we just did the right thing. And he said, even to the effect of, I would hate to be trying to figure things out what to do if we were at number 9. So now, if we look at free agency, guys, we put together some veteran offensive players who seem to have some gas in the tank, right? Thielen, you can argue, is getting long in the tooth. DJ Shark potentially has the threat of injury. He has had problems with that. You have maybe Terrace Marshall Jr., who could be. Look, I'm kind of. I've been giving Terrace Marshall Jr. a hard time to you, Cody, because you keep saying he's going to be so great. He's going to be so great. I don't think it's proven, but I think he's shown promise in the moments he's been there. I think Team Money's a little hard on him out of the Panthers creators, but at the same time, it seems like they have tried to put together an Miles Sanders. We forget about that name. Incredible. Yeah. What else? What have we learned about how the Panthers have positioned themselves in this free agency? And then what do you take away from those comments about what they want to do in the draft, Cody?
So it really does seem as though the 39th pick, at least, is going to be either a linebacker or a D lineman, somewhere along those lines. And if you look at what we've done in free agency, man, we definitely beefed up the receiving core with the additions of Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. The fact that happened is awesome. We forget about Laviska Shenault still being on this team. Yeah, like that's a name that we're still going to try and incorporate. Another name that I'm sure we're going to get into later that's back in the building. Tony's favorite player in the history of all of football, which I'm never going to hear about. I'm never going to ever not hear the end of, rather. But, I mean, based on the things that we have done, the Panthers, I know it sounds so cliche, but we really have put ourselves in a position to take best player available. And I think that we're gonna do that. Fitterer has once upon a time said between picks 22 and 45 they consider that the sweet spot of the draft, meaning you can find a ton of value and guys that can be franchise type players in that type of picking range. So depending on the type of talent that falls to us, I could see tight end. I could see like a Darnell Washington. I could even see one of the better running backs if he's still there. Only a Jahmyr Gibbs, though. Only like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bijan Robinson. But as of right now, knowing that we're moving to this 3-4 defense, I think they're going to have to continue to allocate draft picks to the defense to make sure that we have the right kind of players in order to fill out this roster and what we want to do defensively.
CK, were you able to listen to the whole press conference today?
I did.
Now, as we continue to ask, where the feel is Bryce Young, and that's the star that we're going to chart our course to. I guess you just got to wonder, is there any chance that it's not Bryce Young? Is there any chance that they feel so like that the Houston Texans are going to be like, we want Bryce Young that much? And today, having the press conference on the same day that you meet with CJ Stroud is to test his mental fortitude in the face of adversity to see if he can handle it.
I listen, I'm not that. They may have some crazy stuff in the back end. I don't know. I really don't. That would be absolutely insane if that was the thing, right? However, the way that I look at this, and Cody and I were talking prior to the show starting. I don't know that the Panthers are going to throw up smoke screens. I don't know who the smoke screens would be for, if not to try to trade back into the number 2 spot and try.
Maybe it's not smoke. Maybe it's a little where they're out bass fishing and they just trying to tempt that big mighty Houston bass over there with the shark.
Do we believe there is a real scenario where the Panthers trade back to 2? I don't think there is a scenario that would happen.
Greg, the interview for CJ Stroud, they didn't have it after. They were having it as they were giving the press conference. They just had a plant beside him trying to figure out how he was reacting as he heard the Panthers in there gushing about Bryce Young. Did he crumble? Did he just get on the plane and leave? Man, it has to be Bryce Young, but good Lord, is there any chance the Texans take the bait?
Oh man, look, you know what? Just for the sake of our show and us doing a live draft show, there is that part of me that almost hopes that it does happen.
Give him some Beskar, hell yeah!
Just so that way we could be like, "Whoa, dude!"
Yeah.
And just to have everybody's reaction.
Baby committing suicide.
He would commit ritual seppuku on the podcast that night, dude, and it might be the best thing, dude. And also, like, if we were able to recoup, a first-round draft pick that we lost next year, I've said this before. The Houston Texans are swimming in first-round picks. They could give us 2 first-round picks and still have an abundance of draft picks to be able to choose from. So the Panthers, if they are going to trade down, be damn sure to get the right amount of value. And to add on to this, all the rumors say that the Houston Texans only love Bryce Young. They are not high on CJ Stroud. Apparently, they like Will Levis. So there's even some rumors that they might try and let some other team trade up to number 2 and let them trade back a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of different scenarios, but I would not be mad if we pulled off the biggest bait and switch of all time, dude.
You're like it's like a magician pulling the little thing away,
I put a short out last week of all of us talking about this and me bringing that up the moment we traded for the number 1 pick. The moment we traded for it, everybody's like, no, you're crazy. There's no way we could do that.
I don't think it will
happen.
It's not going to happen.
If it did, we're going to have to we'll go ahead and have to call G Baby is going to need, like, I don't know if he's going to need somebody. He's going to be on suicide watch or we got to protect like David Tepper and them are gonna have to take out extra security because this man could be lurking at any moment to murder these bugs.
Especially now that they've gotten his hopes up so high with all of the rumors of it being Bryce, just to pull it out from under him. Oh, dude.
Hold on. Here's my counter to that, right? This is why it's not likely. If the Texans were that committed to Bryce Young that they needed to move up to the number 1 spot to make sure they got Bryce Young, and they gave away multiple first-round picks to move up 1 spot to get Bryce Young, then that dude better be damn special. So we're saying at 1 and getting him at 1.
We did that too.
Yeah.
So Bryce Young better be special if we pick
But
him.
they have more of a,
That's
I don't
what I'm
think
saying. Why would you if the Panthers, if you're sitting there, if Bryce Young is that special, if you're in these interviews and he is blowing it out of the water, if that is the
he's
case,
he's gonna win interviews, bro. You'll hear it. He's
why would you give that away to the Texans, even if it does mean you're getting some picks back? That doesn't mean there's no reason, there's no value in that.
Because it's not everybody saying Bryce Young is better. It's the Texans like Bryce Young better. That's the argument here. The Texans like Bryce Young better, and if they like him better, then you can extort him for more picks.
Yes,
and still get the guy you want. That's
I don't
the
think
difference.
I don't think it's gonna happen, guys. The only thing that made me think about it, or even at this point, because I think it's Bryce Young, I think they've charted their course already on that. That's their
Probably.
North Star.
I'm gonna have to live with it, I think.
But here's the thing: is we see that everybody loves Scott Fitterer. All the super draft heads love Scott Fitterer, or at least they did in his first year, because he just like accumulated all these picks by moving around, and it was just like what everybody who does a mock draft does. You want to take this trade, you want to do this, you want to do that. Yeah, we're gonna get all this, and then he just wasted all those picks going forward. I would rather just for us to like leave this draft with like Bryce Young and another top 32 pick and then just call it a day than to have like 2 4ths and 3rd that aren't like. So is there any chance? I know everybody sees the Panthers potentially moving back from 39. Is there any chance the Panthers could move from 39 to 28? And
Sure.
I mean, maybe, but I kind of feel like Fitterer probably wants to move back more than he does want to move up.
That's what everybody says. I'd rather consolidate picks, Cody. Instead of having, remember that draft? We had 8 players. We like got drafted 8 defensive players in Matt Rule's first draft.
And 2 of them were worth a damn.
Yeah, and 2 of them are on the team anymore. I'd just rather have 2 players on the team that you're going to invest in, because now, even with the 2nd round pick in Terrace Marshall Jr., 3 years later, this guy's might even going to be on the team potentially.
You're right.
Hey, man.
Right. And so like looking at that, you're telling me that when I look at the trade, like if we were to go back to number 2, I would expect that we get 2 first-round picks, either being 1 this year, 1 next year, or in the next 2 years. You don't think so? 2 first-round picks?
Not a shot.
No, you would move back 1. You would move back
1 and pick up a first,
and you would either get what is their pick, the 13th, Cody?
No, you wouldn't pick up the 14th. There is not a shot
or next
there is not a shot
Why
in the
not?
world that they would give up 2 first-round picks
but that's
to
what
move
they're
up
giving up.
1 spot.
Well, it's going to be 2 first-round picks anyway. It's going to be either
that's
next
the
year's
price.
or
I'm sorry. That is
it'll
the
be
price.
next year's.
Listen,
it'll be next year's.
Here's
first.
the
That
thing.
is the price. Sorry.
I would not
here's
do it for a second.
Listen, here's the thing. So there are legitimate discussions that have been had, and this is the value that everybody else sees. So if the Colts moved up 2 spots to the number 2 spot, they would give this year's first round pick, which is just the 4th. So 1 first round, DeForest Buckner, and then like an 8th round pick. That's it.
But that's not the number 1 pick.
And also, by the way, like everybody decides these draft charts about what every pick is worth positionally. Dude, burn that shit.
It's like a baseball card book. A card is worth what somebody will pay for it.
But again, it's about knowing who your buyer is. It's like asking a billionaire to pay pennies on the dollar. Right. We know that the Houston Texans have a bunch of first-round picks.
Yeah.
And they want to choose the quarterback. I've brought this up before. When you look at Peyton Manning and that Ryan Leaf draft, everybody thought both of those guys were going to be Hall of Famers. Well, no, only one of them was, and the other one ended up being a bust. So if you're going to make that pick for us, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it, man.
I would not give it up. How about
I
this?
understand that we would want to have this make them pay for it, right? They are not going to pay that because
well, then I would do it. Then
that's fine.
Exactly.
That is fine. They don't have to. No, I don't want to trade out of the number one spot. I am telling you, it's not going to happen because what the Panthers would require is not going to be anything the Texans are going to be even close to willing to pay. Because if we believe these guys are as close as they are in 1A and 1B, why the hell would you give up 2 first-round draft picks to move up one spot to get one guy?
They don't think that because the narrative is that they're not 1A, 1B, to be honest. Right? The narrative right now is, look, it's Stroud. Stroud's falling out of the top 5 at this moment. It could be, which is insane. Like, that I think that this is really like all by the Colts. I think that CJ Stroud's going to be Colt. That's what I would expect, is that they didn't get Deshaun Watson. They're, but anyway, it's kind of, we've talked enough about the trades. We've talked enough about the pre-draft conference. Go check it out. Look, and you know what is, in fact, don't even go just watch the pre-draft press conference. Go watch C3 watching the pre-draft press conference. Cody, I was in class. I got out. I was like, oh shit, Cody went live at 11. I was sitting on the throne, watching. And I was like, shit, this guy got like 295 people up in here like 3 hours later. Cody and his cult show out. Man, I tell you what, there's another cult of fans in this show that are a little freaky.
Oh, well, you know what? That's not a call to me. That's a call to the voice. Talk to him, Big Papa.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about that. I'm here to talk to you for just a moment about the fact that you have come here to listen to us debate, discuss, maybe even get infuriated by the conversation about which quarterback we're taking here in less than 10 days. We're 10 days away, less than. And we're going to have a quarterback. And you've come here to discuss it. Maybe you've come here every Tuesday night. Maybe you've been here during the draft profiles that Cody puts out there. Maybe you've been here for the Friday free-for-all, but you haven't hit that like button yet. Well, I have one thing to say to all you absolute freaks. Subscriber shame.
$150 people watching, 63 thumbs up. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. We're going to be putting out a couple more film rooms before the draft. And like Tony said, we have so many plans. That way we will continue to get our super fans involved. So join for $1.99 a month and be a part of this great Panther community that we have here at the C3 Panthers podcast. Before we go any further, let me make sure we do all of our due diligence. Anthony Picarello with another $2. He says, I'm back. Thanks for the shout out. Got him at plus 250. Kudos to my man, Anthony. Joseph with the $2 says CJ Stroud, say it out loud. And my boy, White Chocolate Espresso with the $5 says quarterbacks with the most roughing the passer calls in 2022. Goff at 6. Gino at 5. Kirk Cousins at 5. Matt Ryan has the most ever at 57, and Tom Brady and Cam have the same at 35. I mean, hey, man, those roughing the passers, they're going to look different when it's Bryce Young, man.
Yeah,
so.
I tell you one thing, nothing satisfies a master debate like the voice that makes them moist.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
oh, I see what you did there.
One way you can support the show is just by, like he said, smashing thumbs up button, but being in the conversation. The number's 252-228-5098. Cody, I think it's time to take a couple of cat calls because I know these fans want to talk about this press conference. I know they want to talk about the master debate. Actually, no, there is no debate. charting our course with Bryce Young is what it seems like. Guys, we want to hear your thoughts on whatever you want to talk about the Carolina Panthers on the longest running Panthers podcast. Let's get into these catcalls, my man.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What's up, Anthony?
Beautiful day in Charlotte here. Today is Tuesday, April 18th. 9 more days until the draft. Kind of crazy. Yeah, nothing much else to say. I watched the press conference with Cody today. I thought it was really telling, you know. I don't think Scott Fitterer was, you know, afraid to say kind of an idea of what's going to happen next week, kind of because we have the first overall pick. It seems like, you know, Bryce Young is the choice. And I was listening to One Carolina, shout out to him. When Scott Fitterer said he didn't tell Bryce Young to not go to the other draft visits, he's not going to say that he told them that like publicly. You can't do that. My guess would be that he actually did, because you don't cancel other draft visits if you know that you're, you know, a guarantee to go in the top 2, which Bryce Young is. That's what Chris Sims and Mike Florio said. Now, it could all be wrong, but all the signs are pointing towards Bryce Young. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think a trade back at this point in time is going to happen. Houston clearly said, you know, they're looking to trade out of pick 2, potentially move back in the draft if they can find a suitor. But the pick 39, I mean, he said edge rusher, linebacker, and wide receiver are the 3 biggest needs he's looking at, which tells me that they probably do believe in CJ Henderson. Shout out to Greg. I know you probably aren't happy about that. But he was drafted 12th with the hope that he would be solid at some point in this league. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Nothing else, really. I mean, just waiting for the draft at this point. 9 days out. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding, C3.
Hey, shout out to Anthony. Do y'all also listen? Even though Fitterer said that he didn't tell Bryce Young to cancel his visits, or that they didn't tell him that he was the pick, do you believe him? Because look, shout out to my man Anthony. He's also the one that
believe him.
He always says that Fitterer is a bad liar. So, do you believe that? Is there any chance that the Panthers did say to Bryce, "Hey, man, save yourself the frequent flyer miles, kick it at home, prepare for the draft, and wait until we call your name on the 27th"?
I don't think it's that transparent or that direct by any means. In Pat Coltrane, this is Pat Coltrane's take too, is don't give Scott Fitterer the mic, man. This guy will spill the beans. Don't tell him a secret. Never tell him a secret. He just
can't tell a lie.
He's just honest. I think I don't think I think that's a decision by Bryce Young, but I think there's just a feel. Look, today, did the Panthers say they were picking Bryce Young? No. But boy, they were like, we don't need to even go meet.
They did everything but say that we're picking Bryce Young.
Right. And you don't think, I think, and wait until you hear Bryce Young in this pivot interview.
No, they didn't.
I think they're gonna be they're so smitten. I think it's just like Bryce Young comes out of there going, man, I had them bitches eating out of my hands. I got that job.
No. You are looking at it. There are 2 different ways to look at it. You may be absolutely right. Like, you may be right. They may have called Bryce Young and said, look, check it out. We're drafting you first, number 1. Don't worry about anything else. Just cancel everything else, okay? But they may have called him and said, hey, guess what? We're trading number 2 to Houston, and you're going to be Houston Texan. Or they may have called him and said, "Hey,
I can't say
hey,"
that.
They may have called him and said,
never
"Hey."
do that.
Well, they may have called him and said,
he would have been like, "I'm going to Houston, bitches." He would have been telling. He would have been telling everybody.
Number one. We're not picking you number one, and he knows he's going.
Why would they tell him that?
But why would they tell him he's going number one?
They did.
I'm saying
They
there's
just
just
were like this.
they would tell him that.
It's like this.
Dude,
it's like
there
you
is
ever
no
had a
guarantee
girl.
here. No.
Have you ever had a girl that gives you the eyes and smiles at you, and you know that she just feeling you so much?
Yeah.
And I'm sure ladies, you know you've had guys, and it's like this. I know this could happen if it's good. I know this is gonna happen. Like I just felt like nobody said it, but everybody knew.
Well, also, by the way, to add some context, Greg, it was Joe Burrow came out like a year ago and said that the Bengals had told him like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand that they were drafting him.
And they swarmed to secrecy.
Yeah, he didn't.
They're like, motherfucker, if you tell anybody.
Yeah, pretty much. So, you know, but also it's like it does kind of ease you into it, though. It's like if they know that he is the pick, why wouldn't they tell him?
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
No, because what if? Well, okay, if they know it, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If they were open,
the
question
is,
I'll
tell you one thing, they would
to
definitely not tell him he's not the number one pick, because what happens if they traded back and then somehow somebody slipped? Like that's what I feel like this is. If you're too open about that, what happens if you are going with CJ Stroud and you go, man, I'm sorry, we just fucking dogged you in front of everybody. Ugh, this is awkward. Awkward.
Yeah. And we play the Texans this year, right?
Yes,
I don't know.
We played the AFC South.
Oh wow! Oh really? We play the Texans, so we get this. Man, God, Bryce Young.
Tony, did I not say that on this pod? That's my theory. That's my theory. The game one of our season is going to be the Carolina Panthers versus the Houston Texans.
Give me that
at home.
This is going to be the Jameis Winston, Mariota type of a year.
Yes, right? Yeah. Did they play? Ooh, I wonder if that
was the first game. Yeah, their first game was against each other. Yeah,
yeah, they're totally doing that. The Texans now have to pick CJ Stroud because I need that to happen in my life. The numbers too.
But here's the thing: the other team involved here, the Colts, that's going to have the other rookie quarterback at least.
They're going to have Jackson.
And we got to play them this year.
They're going to have Jackson.
Yeah.
They're going to give 2 first-round picks for Jackson.
I don't know.
It's going to happen.
He's going to do that.
The Colts.
Oh, no.
Hey, Anthony, I don't see what you sent me, man. Send it to me again.
I don't know that the Colts would be willing to do that with Jackson.
I would love to see them do that. Let's put it that way.
I just want to see all of these guys. And
some people even say Houston might be a spot for Lamar.
Holy cow. Whoa, wouldn't that be a bizarre, like it's like from Deshaun Watson
to Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, like the circle of life. And what if they gave they, you know what, the Texans should do that and give them all the money and be like, fuck you, Deshaun Watson. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, this is Tim Nelson from Northeast Pennsylvania. First time caller, long time listener. And I want to talk about the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud debate. I know it's leaning much more towards Bryce Young as far as our first pick in the draft. But I think a lot of people are forgetting this time of year, what everybody says all year until we get to this like last week or two of the draft is right now is the time for lots of false information, lots of smoke, lots of, trying to fool the other teams. And I'm just wondering if there's any chance the Carolina Panthers are trying to fool the Houston Texans into trading the number 2 and the number 12 pick for that number 1 pick. Let Houston go get Bryce Young. Have Carolina go get CJ Stroud. Now, there's a lot of evidence to me that CJ Stroud is still the pick. One, we have definitely saw Frank Reich opening press conference talk about what he looks for in a quarterback. Big, mobile, strong. A lot of pieces that, I don't necessarily think apply to Bryce Young quite as much. And then number 2, look at the pro days, man. You can watch the Carolina Panthers staff, and they just look so much more like they're enjoying what they're seeing there with CJ Stroud. Again, I think Bryce Young is a great option at quarterback. My concern with Bryce Young is that he's going to be the best quarterback in the draft for about 2 or 3 years, and then my guess is he's going to start wearing down from injuries. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even make it into his second contract with Carolina. So I'm looking for the CJ Stroud pick. I will try to embrace the Bryce Young pick if that's what happens at number 1. But I just want to know what your guys' thoughts on that are. Thanks a lot.
Well, boy, that's right on time. That is right on time.
It is. Can I point out real quick, Tony? And I just want to point out the way the human mind works and the way we hear things and how we interpret things differently. That what he just suggested was holding them hostage for the number 2 pick.
Yeah,
and you gave him a cheers, right? Right.
Nah, I gave him cheers because
you
not
cheers.
because I love like the opinion, but because it's just right on time.
Okay. Because right before that, I said the same thing, but I put it in different words. That we called Bryce Young and said, "We're trading you, or you're going to go to number 2 to Houston."
Well, I was just saying they wouldn't have
the exact
told
same
him
thing.
right
It's saying
now.
the exact same
No,
thing.
you
but in
said
different
you
words.
called him and said we ain't picking you at 1.
That's the
Houston
exact same
is.
thing in
We
different
out,
words.
motherfucker. What
That's the
kind of
exact same thing in
asshole
different
move would
words.
that be, though?
But I get it. It's an asshole thing, but it's the same thing in different words. And you told me no, I'm crazy for that, which I still think is possible.
Telling him part. I'm not saying even the trading, but imagine.
Why is it different?
You
to
know
tell
what?
him we're
Let
gonna
the
pick you
Houston
or tell him we're
Texans
not
call
gonna
him
pick you?
up and say we're picking you number 1. We just traded for the Panthers.
What I'm saying
Why the
is, Tony,
Panthers? Imagine the dick ass move like, hey, Bryce, we just want to catch up with you one more time. Be like, oh shit,
No.
yeah, man. And then you're like, we ain't taking you, motherfucker. We're trading number 2.
No, Tony,
Bam!
hold on. You're interviewing for a job, right? And there's 2 positions available, okay? And I call you and I say, hey, man, we're not going to pick you for this one position, but this position right here is going to be available for you next. Is that a dickhead move?
Yes.
Is it really?
Yeah, in this
NFL
case,
it is.
I think in this
Okay,
case,
in the
yeah.
NFL, I don't know, man. I don't feel
I
like
just
it's
feel
an
like
asshole
that
move to do
news
that.
should be delivered by the Texans if that news broke.
The Texans don't know.
Imagine like the
Texans don't have
Panthers were like
control.
this. You know what?
They don't know.
No, you just said that we traded with them already.
And they're if
that's
we're gonna
not
trade
happened.
with
That
them,
hasn't happened. I'm just saying if the Panthers were to trade, imagine if they were the ones that called and they were like, Bryce, you know what?
Yeah,
we really
we're
like
trading
you,
now.
but fuck
I mean,
yeah,
that's
we can get some
basically
picks and CJ
that's
Stroud.
basically a
Fuck
way.
off.
That's basically their way of saying we value those picks more than what we think you're going to be able to bring
what
to the
a
table.
what an insult that would be.
So
It
would you
is.
rather
I
hear-
mean, whether or not it's intended to be, it is an insult because then that would mean that the Bears and the Panthers passed on the opportunity to draft Bryce
And
Young.
wouldn't it just be nicer if the Texans said, we value you so much we did whatever it took to get you?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the call you want to get.
But that
You
could
want to
be,
get
that
the
could be
call.
the play they gave you, but
God,
they have no
bro,
control
have you ever
over
not
that.
gotten
If they
a
would have
job?
valued you
Have
more,
you
they would
ever
have traded for the
gotten a-
number 1 pick. I'm sorry. They
I
would have traded
got
for the number 1
passed
pick. That was
over.
true.
I got passed over for a very important job in my career in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and thank God, to be honest, when they say a lot of things happen for a good reason and stuff, is I would hate to be right now. Colleges are about to implode, enrollment's down. The problem is this. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's a stressful week in the Dunn family. Everybody's in academia. These schools are falling apart, man. And I tell you, and I don't want to say too much because they're associated with, but the people who take the brunt of economic reconfigurations for big ass institutions are the people who actually make money for those people. It's the administrators who make the mistakes, but then deal out the punishment. So it's wild. I'm just saying, as someone who got passed over for a job that I thought was very important for me, you're waiting for the news. You're waiting for the news, and you get the phone call, and from the person that's could give you the job or not give you the job, and they go, man, we're sorry. They were great. And you know what? It don't matter how fucking nice they are.
Right.
It don't matter what rationale it is. Your feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's the only reason you ain't getting no applause, Greg, for this.
Well,
is there's no way if the
want
Panthers did that would be such an asshole move.
So,
hey guys, we ain't
the-
picking you.
the message that Anthony wanted me to share, this was from Carolina Huddle, who apparently has a source, and this guy, he was right on all the coaches that we hired. before we hired them. According to him, Young has not only canceled his remaining visits, but is using that time looking for places to live in the area. So,
yeah, there's this picture floating around right now that he was in Charlotte today.
Yeah.
And there's no verification in this yet.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. Imagine the audacity of the Panthers. Even in this, what about this? And this is a different way. It's not even if they were, look, what if Young was here scoping out apartments while the Panthers were giving a press conference and CJ Stroud and Will Levis are sitting in the lobby? What a flex
I'd be
by
pissed.
Bryce Young is that it's just big time in mugs. He's in Charlotte signing autographs, and these guys are waiting on a job interview they ain't getting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I tell you this,
Pretty
you know
sad.
what? Everybody, whoever is CJ Stroud is gonna get his feelings hurt. Like, you said this eloquently at the beginning of the show. CK is kind of feel bad on the human side that somebody who is ultimately deserving in their own right of a number one pick, who just because they're number one pick doesn't mean their life's not over. But that's going to be a painful moment for a CJ Stroud. Imagine Bryce Young didn't get it. Whoever's not getting the number one who truly believes, and I think it is CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are other than that, nobody else is really going to be disappointed.
Can I ask a question? You talk about disappointment. Like a sideshow in the chat says him and AR are in the area looking for places.
Everybody's moving to Charlotte.
If
the Panthers told everybody you're our number one pick.
If Carolina drafts AR, I'm gonna be so pissed. Not because I think AR is a bad quarterback, not because I don't think he'll have a good future. There is no effing reason from number 9 you should trade number 1 to pick up AR. I'm going to be so upset if they did that. That is a
Cody,
trade for the position.
What's better for the draft party? The trade back to number 2 or picking Anthony Richardson? What would be the bigger line?
Livid, man.
No.
Like, my gosh.
No, here's the mega brain move. Trading back to number 2 and picking Anthony Richardson.
Oh my God.
You better get number 2 and number 12 and number 16 this year if you're going to do that.
I don't even care what it is. It's just my mind would be fucked. I walk out with
we
like
haven't
PTSD.
even entertained the idea of AR being the guy drafted. You can talk about Bryce Young and CJ Stroud.
I wouldn't be mad, dude. If you had Andy Dalton, Matt Corral, and Anthony Richardson out on the field at the same time, like Richardson looks like an upgrade, right? Like he looks like the Predator, dude. Like he could yeah, you know what I mean? Like the dude
it's kind of like Cam Newton. It's just kind of how it felt with Cam Newton. It's like,
he's like a Kryptonian out there, dude. It's just he can do more than everyone else. Whereas I don't know, Matt Corral at 220 pounds looking beefy out there.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, man.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's get the next call.
What's going on? This is Jay Anderson hitting y'all up.
Jay?
There's a lot of people talking about this whole draft and these whole quarterbacks, and a lot of people are always talking about who got the best arm, who got the best play. But one thing a lot of people are not talking about is who got the best intangibles. And intangibles means something. Leadership. Who is that guy that gonna rally around? Who teammates gonna like to play for? That's something special that we had with Cam. That's something special we had with Jake. Those intangibles matter. If you look at the quarterbacks throughout the NFL, a lot of them have that intangibles. Now, you could say Aaron Rodgers is probably just an arrogant freak, but everybody rallies around Aaron Rodgers to play. So intangibles matter. Another thing, a lot of people talking about they don't want Anthony Richards because he's a project. All these quarterbacks, all these players are projects. Nobody is a
great point, Jay.
Nobody is complete. Nobody that is in this draft coming to the NFL is complete. you basically know the quarterback is that guy probably after 3 years. Some people will say one. I disagree because one time can be a one-time thing, and then you can slide on down. I mean, look at Carson Wentz. He had probably like 1 or 2 years, and then he not so much.
This is getting the applause
so
for me.
Everybody's talking about this whole, he's a project. So what? Who cares? All of them are projects. They all have to prove something during camp. They all have to prove something during the off season. They all have to prove something once they get put in the game. Who is that guy that's going to start week 1? Everybody thought Cam was a project, and they wanted to start at D8. But guess what? Cam started week 1 and blew everybody out of the water. A lot of people did not believe in Cam his first year to be a week 1 starter. And throughout those 2 games, he had 400 plus yards in each of those games. Then everybody said, "Oh, I like Cam," but they didn't like Cam to start week 1 when we drafted it. Everybody calling him a project. I'm saying I like all 3 quarterbacks, but if we got a world-class coaching staff like everybody said, then they should trust which one of these 3 quarterbacks do we get drafted. That's my case.
I love this
Fantastic
call. I love this call because is that when we're about to listen to some clips from Bryce Young on the pivot, and I was just enamored, like I was just hypnotized, right? And I did find myself asking a couple of times am I just being too wooed by the demeanor, the smile, and just saying that these are going to equate to a coolness, a calmness that's going to win? Is that we're just really just buying into the intangible, is that there's just something special about this kid. It's not his arm. It's not his whatever. It's just his way he carries himself, and between the ears is that, a shiny lure, that we're not falling for a trap. But when we go to Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud, what's the difference in expectations if the Carolina Panthers picked Anthony Richardson number 1? Mm-hmm. I know people would be floored, right? But let's try to get past the part that you would just be shocked and floored, and it's never going to happen. What's different about your mindset as a fan going into 2023 if Anthony Richardson is the pick, if CJ Stroud is the pick, and if Bryce Young is the pick? Because right now, what I've been sold as Bryce Young being the savant of football, the whatever it is, I feel like I'm so excited that I need it to win. Like I'm going to want it. What is it? What is that? Is that a win total? Is that 9? Like I feel like Anthony Richardson would get I'd be like, let's fucking go. You look like a damn predator. I'm looking, but I wouldn't be like, if he doesn't play well this year, he's a bust. I feel like I would give more grace to Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud.
No,
I feel like the
point.
least amount of grace is going to Bryce Young at this, because it's like if he doesn't even play well, you're like, fuck it, this little ass motherfucker. Everybody told me he's gonna be great.
That's what we said, that if you were gonna draft Bryce Young at number 1, you're doing it with the expectations that he's going to be able to come in and play right away and fit right into the offense.
Maybe that's unfair in a way too.
And part of the reason, let's be real, fans have been through so much trauma the past 3 years with the Carolina Panthers that even the when you mentioned the idea of Anthony Richardson having to sit on the bench for a year, it's like, oh, so you mean we're not even going to get to see our first round quarterback this year? We have to. I
would just rather him be out there developing and us losing.
Yeah, but it's like we would have to go through a year of Andy Dalton, and a lot of fans are just like, nah, they don't want to see that. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If Anthony Richardson turns out to be the player that he's capable of being,
like maybe Lamar became for that year. Say he's Lamar Jackson, but not injured.
What if he is the next Patrick Mahomes? You know what I'm saying?
He's different than Patrick Mahomes. You got
to
compare,
but he has a wide variety
Cam Newton,
physical traits that he could do everything that literally any type of offense that Thomas Brown or Frank Wright could put together.
Better than Jalen Hurts, who is the highest paid player in the league.
Yeah, 100%.
But dude, I don't think you would be like if he didn't say you even went and started him for the full year, Cody. Right? Is that, and I would rather do that. It's just like, you know what? Let's learn on the job. The best way for you to learn is going to be learn on the job and just tell the kid, look, it's going to be some struggles. We're not going to hold it against you. We know this year's a development year. We're playing kind of with house money in a certain way. If it turns out bad, we don't think that's a referendum on you. And Panther fans, I think, would be like, oh, shit, he's developing. Look at that. He had a better game. He running the ball. I'm like looking at Bryce Young going, we win in game one. Yeah. Like, I don't know. There would be so little grace for his development because so many people have hyped up his immediate. And I don't know if that's even fair to him, too, in a way. I think the expectation for immediate returns is going to be so much bigger for Bryce Young than it would be a CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson.
No, you're giving him too much credit, Tony. You're giving him too much credit. I'm sorry. If you're the number one pick in the NFL draft, you should be expected to be able to start day one, period.
Even if you're Anthony Richardson?
Yes, no.
I agree.
Even if a team picks you number one, number two, number three, quite honestly, you are a guy who's expected to be playing day one. And honestly, you're drafting that guy to be a Hall of Famer. Okay,
I agree.
Period. Like
I agree.
feel like
It's either bust or awesomeness or greatness.
I feel like, quite honestly, that if Anthony Richardson is the guy who was picked number one, it's like an arranged marriage. I feel like CJ and Bryce are more of a romantic, we fell in love with you type thing. That AR is like an arranged marriage. We were set up to be with you because in the future you're going to be good for us. We hope.
God, I have such a different. You know where I'm
at.
That's
An arranged marriage, man. Like
though.
it just does not. It does not make sense to me to pick potential over what you know you have right now. Period.
So there's a part of this. So I want to address the call. Number one, he talked about Cam Newton when he was drafted, that a lot of people were saying that he was a project and that he may not start or whatnot. I don't think the majority of the fan base was prepared to go forward with Derek Anderson instead of Cam Newton. I think if you look at what we wanted, we needed a new quarterback. We did not need a bridge quarterback. We needed Cam Newton. So when you pick number one in the NFL draft, you are picking for a guy to start that year, period. So me and Greg are on the same boat on this one. The biggest thing that I would say, and this is not always fair to Anthony Richardson, Cam Newton showed what he was capable of in college. Anthony Richardson has not. Agreed. He has shown potential, but Cam Newton showed generational talent in college. Yeah. Potentially one of the, if not the greatest college quarterback performance in the entire college history, could be argued with what he did in that year with Auburn. There's no comparison with what Anthony Richardson's done and what Cam has done. Now we can go back and look at what Anthony Richardson's situations were and all that stuff and try to give some caveats and give some things to go his way, but he hasn't done what Cam Newton did in college. So you have to expect him to be a project. Cam Newton was much less of a project than Anthony Richardson is at this stage of the game.
Agreed.
Greg, I will take the one thing. Another thing I don't agree with the analogy, or let me say not agree with. It's not that analogy is wrong, guys. Like you said, how brains see things so differently. Is you said it's like an arranged marriage, like Anthony Richardson would be an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
The way I think of it is kind of like Bryce Young is the girl your mom wants to marry, and is like the smart valedictorian or whatever.
Okay.
CJ Stroud is a good woman who's a good family girl. Your parents would be happy with. And Anthony Richardson is the bad girl. And as John Lee Hooker said, I'm in the mood. He said, Mama told me to leave that girl alone, but Mama didn't know, God know, what that girl was putting down. So I feel like she's
Yeah.
that's not bad.
I thought about that comparison when I was thinking about that. I was like, that could be looked at the other way too. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That, right? Is that you're like, Mom, we'll find her a job.
Yeah.
But you don't know what I know on this one. All right, Cody, I feel like now we've taken a few calls. We got more calls to go. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's pop into segment. I guess this would be, we're an hour and a half in, and we're in segment 3. But right. And really right now today, I told you guys this about a month ago, was that every other week I was going to flip on who I wanted at quarterback, depending on what happened that week.
Yeah.
And Bryce Young in this interview on the pivot won me over today. I would say, is that, do you remember Trevor Lawrence hadn't lost a game? But he had this crazy, I haven't lost a game ever or some shit like that. And until he got to the NFL. Bryce Young probably has never, I don't think he's ever lost an interview, or will he ever lose an interview. This guy is intoxicating. Cody,
it's not a surprise why every team that interviews him falls in love with him, dude. Like his mental acuity is off the charts, his ability to read defenses, but then even outside of football, when you hear him being asked genuine questions,
tough
about
questions,
his person, tough questions about his size, his personality, all of the knocks against him, his faith, and that's another thing. We have a lot of devout Christians on this coaching staff, and let me tell you, Bryce, he'll give the glory to God every 5 minutes if you give him the opportunity to do so.
Man, Winston does that. That's my favorite. All the glory to God. All the glory to God.
That's Bryce, man. His father raised an exceptional young man, and we have some clips that we're gonna play. But Bryce Young was on the pivot, and he was exceptional, man. He was great.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's just hard to not walk away from that. And that's where I'm wondering is the charisma. I'll ask you guys, listen to this. We'll start with this. One of the questions that was asked, I think Fred Taylor maybe asked this one, or no, Ryan Clark. And that was about the pressure that comes with being the number 1 pick in the draft. Here is Bryce Young.
In a locker room of 5 stars. You're leading a locker room of 4 stars. On this next level, you're going to be asked to lead a locker room of grown men. Yeah. Some of those grown men with children, and a lot of them with families. Mm-hmm. Being the number 1 pick is going to carry a heavy weight. Have you thought about
such a good question
where you're going? And I guess my question is, because I know you are humble and you say you just want to focus on you. How important is it to be the number 1 pick?
For me, I don't think it's something that I put stock in. I feel like I'm going to land where I'm supposed to. I feel like, again, everything happens for a reason, and I can't control it, honestly. Like, I know it, I keep saying it, but it's like, if I worry about stuff I can't control, like, I'm gonna go crazy. Like, if I worry about, what happens here? How do people feel? What if someone picks? Like, that just doesn't feel like an efficient way for me to operate. Being number 1 pick falls in that. And like, again, I feel like you're talking about where you're gonna move, where you're gonna live, who you're gonna play for. Like, man, like that's not up to me. Like, that's stuff that's away from me. And as far as, like you said, going into a new locker room dynamics, I'm super excited for that. And that's going to be something that is new, as far as just being around different age groups and different backgrounds, and just different around different people. I feel like I have to earn that respect to be where I want to be, to help move for the future, help be in a situation of leadership that I've been in the past. I understand that's not something that I can just walk into day one. Regardless of where I'm picked and what I've done, I'm not entitled to anything. I'm not entitled to be treated by anyone any way, whether that be on the field, off the field, any teammates. Again, I understand. I came into Alabama, it was the same thing. I'm a 5-star and ranked whatever I am. No one cares when you get to Alabama. It doesn't matter. Everyone else did that. So what are you going to do to yourself to set yourself apart? How are you going to earn our trust? I feel like it comes with again, having to earn that. And the next level, I feel like it'll be similar, of me wanting to do everything I can to earn the respect of my peers. by how I carry myself, how I work, how I handle my business, how I treat others, and helping, and how dedicated I'm going to be to help building that rapport. I don't think, again, I'm not entitled to anything. I don't think there's anyone that, oh, I'm not going to deal with this, but I don't I want to show what I want to be for everyone, for the team, for the franchise. And I think that comes with work. That's going to be a process and something that isn't overnight, but I'm excited to help prove myself and try to earn the respect of everyone in the building through my actions, how I carry myself, and how I act day in and day out.
This is annoyingly, it's annoyingly perfect. All right.
Yes.
And
Greg
look,
wants to pick it apart so bad,
know,
but it's
like
like,
I do, but I can't.
Yeah,
How
here.
do I?
Yeah,
It was such a good answer.
Yeah.
How?
Here's the thing is that there's big money in these moments, so they're coached.
Yeah.
But this, if you heard you all heard it. You were listening.
Yeah.
And the depth of the answer. It wasn't just like hit these talking points. There was such an honesty. That wasn't a coached answer. And here is the thing that fucking drives me nuts about this. Is this, I know a few, I just wish I was one of these people in life.
Yeah.
My wife has one of her cousin went to Harvard. He's just like a regular dude too. And he's just perfect. He went and volunteered in reforming schools in New Orleans. He's like the most, it's just like his kids. He raises his kids. He cook. It's just everything about this dude is just success. And when you're around him, he's the most cool. It's never about him. It's never, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's annoying because I knew if I was that successful, I would be intolerable to be around. My cousin, listen to this, is who I grew up with. She's like my little sister, and she was a single child. So she kind of really gravitated me to his older brother. We're so tight, so many similarities in the way we think and act and stuff, and not act. She went on. She just is great. She is right now, dude. She went to work through, or she was ECU honor school and then to UNC Chapel Hill Law. Then she's bounced around. She just got poached as a partner. She lives in DC now. She's 2 years younger than me. She has 3 kids. She just got poached by this other lawyer. So she was a partner in this other firm, gets pulled over. She's a fintech lawyer, dude. She makes her rate is $1,648 an hour. That's how much it costs to call my cousin up if you're Google, Binance. And you know what? She's the nicest. Not about, it drives me nuts. It's like, God, how did you do this? This answer is infuriatingly good.
It's so good, man. And that's why a lot of people are hearing this interview for the first time and they're saying, oh, man, I love this dude. You
can't help it. This is why he's going to win every interview, Cody. This is his season. That's why it's almost impossible for CJ Stroud to win. AR, you know what I'm saying, is how could he win? What has he got now? He's got to go into an interview, no matter how great he is. Imagine walking in. Bryce Young walks out with $1 million smile. Have you ever been in an interview where you saw the person going in and out before you?
And then you're just like, I don't even know if I should waste my time.
Right. And he's not even a bad interview. Stroud's probably a great interview, but how the fuck is he going to contend with this? Cody, go ahead, Greg.
Well, so can I just show something real quick to show how I kind of feel about the way the interview went right there? This is kind of my moment. I want to argue against Stroud or against Young, but this is just, I have no response.
Oh, we gotta take
that was perfect.
Oh, take us down, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the Billy Madison thing?
No, that's the old
that's
school.
the old school.
Old school. I have no response. That was perfect. I want to fight against that, but
I can't. I can't.
I can't.
Greg, it gets better. It gets better. Right now, they asked him if he was tired of hearing about the little man. And this is all is as someone who was, and I hit my growth spurt way late. So I was really tiny for a long time. I have that short man's complex built in. Like I understand it's like a prove, like, and it's just like, God, dude, chill out, man. Here is Bryce Young when he's asked about his size.
Brought up a couple times, and it's sadly become the narrative. You got to be getting tired of that small shit. Have you always? They act like you are a damn Lord of the Rings hobbit or something. Like, is it that because great in high school, Heisman Trophy winner, has that always been there? Because the league will go find some shit to knock you and take some money from you now. Has it always been there? Have you always been questioned about your size?
For sure. I couldn't remember a time I wasn't. I've always been, respected to the people around me. I've always been this height. I've always been shorter. I've always been smaller, and I couldn't. And I think a lot of people always say, like, man, you must be sick of this draft process. People talking about your size, like I'm 21. I've been dealing with this my whole life. Like, this is not new at all.
Right.
And it's okay. Like, for me, I'm not someone who really wants to go out and combat everything people say about me or refute. Or, honestly, I don't even think, I don't look at people as, man, they got it wrong. That's messed up, man. They're doubting. I feel like that's the beauty in sports. Like, we all believe in, we all have our favorites and root for certain people. And we all, we all have opinions on every individual athlete. And that's cool. Like, I'm good with that. For the people that support me and believe in me and all that, I'm super grateful. But, for everyone who doesn't think it thinks I'm too short or whatever it may be, like, I never take that stuff personally. Like, I feel like the beauty of sports is, we get to have these conversations. We all grew up going to barbershop and talking sports and arguing. And, like, I'm blessed to be able to be in a situation where, people have an opinion, and I'm grateful for that. And I don't really get too sick of hearing it. I know who I am. I'm confident in that. And, again, for me, this isn't anything new. But it's something that I've been hearing for a long time.
Yeah, he's been hearing his whole life. He's short. Like, it don't even, like, he ain't phased, dude.
Yeah.
This guy cannot be broken. I'm telling you, look, it just goes even further. When he's asked about, is that motivation?
A little bit. Hearing those things, is that extra fuel to your passion to go out there and play and prove people wrong and show them that size really doesn't matter? And along with that, what do you love the most about the game?
Honestly, it really isn't extra fuel for me. For me, I'm someone who's very, very internally motivated. I'm really big on controlling what you can control. And I feel like that spreads into a lot of aspects of life. And if I was relying, I feel like, on other people and what other people said, and, negativity or comments to boost me or to fuel me, what happens if someone believes in me, or what happens if that changes? Then what? Am I not going to work as hard? Am I going to push myself as hard? So that's not really how I look at things. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's cool. And, whether everyone's rooting for me or everyone's against me, at the end of the day, I'm motivated by pushing myself, being the best version of who I am. I'm internally motivated. So that stuff, honestly, it's not really stuff like, oh, I'm going to hold on to that and write it on my wall, and I'm going to keep referencing it. And I can't wait to prove people wrong. That's not really how I think, to be honest with you. For me, again, it's more about, being the best version of myself, doing whatever it takes to do that. And, that's kind of how I approach it. And as far as, my favorite part of the game,
if he doesn't work out as a quarterback, he's going to work out as a motivational speaker.
Well,
and he's definitely could be a marriage therapist. He could ultimately, if the world was ending and we were all like panicking, we need him in the room to be like, guys, it's probably going to end anyway, but let's control.
We got this under control. Everything's going to be all right.
Or we just can control what we can't. Don't worry about 2 years from now. Let's worry about making it through this moment. Get through tomorrow. And you're like, fuck you.
But hey, what would you say about that type of person?
That would be great in those moments.
But on
the field.
But what is that demonstrating? Leadership.
Yeah. Or just unfazability.
You're able to get everyone back on the same page, to calm everyone down and get people back back in order. Now, out of all the answers that he gave, that was my favorite one.
Yes.
Because I felt like a lot of people would have been tempted to say, yeah, it does kind of upset me that everybody disregards me for being small, especially after everything I've done. He could have easily said that. But he said, no, that's not what motivates me. I'm a self-motivated person. My motivation doesn't come from outside noise, be it positive or negative.
Yeah,
and
it's
to me,
incredible.
that's why it was one of his best answers. He's just a self-motivated guy.
I think too is if you rely on someone else to create your happiness, like say you're in a marriage and your answer is I'm unhappy, you've made me unhappy, blah blah blah. Like the source of our happiness has to come internally. And while outside things can have an impact on that, we can't make you who you are. I tell my students this all the time, like I'm rooting for you, but you have to care about yourself more than you're the most. Who should care about, and it just is what a built-in fortification or shield is that if you can really live that way. This is actually what's annoying by it. He was like this is how we all want to live. We all really want to live. I would love to not give a shit what people said about me on this podcast, but I'm like looking at them comments. I'm like, oh, God. Right? Is like he cannot be phased. He's like, what was that one, Greg, with the guy? What's the one with the Wanda? He's like the guy with the diamond on his head on the
Vision?
Disney Plus. Yeah, it's like Vision. It's just like,
Greg,
here's Vision.
Greg, say what you said in the private chat on the show. That's perfect.
I just said, so hearing what I hear from Bryce Young right now, I'm glad that means that when he comes on the show after we draft him, he's not going to hold me accountable for not. Okay. So I like that.
Man, it's okay.
Look, honestly, if I was in his position, look, I'm his height. I'm like an inch shorter than him. Like I'm right there. I'm an inch shorter than him, like 10 pounds lighter than him. Like I'm right there at it, man. Like I feel you. My whole life, I've been very good. I've had to push so much harder in sports to be that much better. Like to be average to what the normal average size guy is.
Though.
And he's been the best. Exactly. So I feel him. But because of that's where I am, that's why I have the doubts. Now, I also want to believe in him. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm starting to really like these interviews and all the stuff he's saying is really making me kind of want to pull for him so badly. And if he's drafted, and I said this before, if he's drafted, I'm fine with that. And I'm going to pull for him. I'm going to buy his jersey. He's going to be my guy. He's just not my pick. But man, this guy is really pulling me in that direction based on the fact that I'm short. I've been that way my whole life where I feel like I excel in sports. Like I feel like everything I do, I excel in, and that is only being as good as guys that are 4 or 5 inches taller than me. But I have to excel to be like in par with them. You know,
like they can.
Dude, imagine how much of a hypocrite I am. Imagine how much of a hypocrite I am. I can't knock someone for having a less than stellar body. Come on, it's like you know what I mean.
Can't even walk.
Yeah, I know, right?
I just want to let him know right now.
Can do it.
If we draft Bryce Young, when you come on this show, because you inevitably will, okay, come on this show. I'm sorry that I was pulling for CJ to begin with because I felt like that at the beginning. I'm putting that out there right now. April 18th. I'm sorry, but I do believe you were going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and what you've been saying in these interviews has really swayed me to believing in you. So,
when we print shirts, man, like if we don't say we come up with a good Bryce Young shirt and somehow we land him on a podcast and we're going to gift him a shirt. Usually the most, like if I was going to buy shirts and just hope to get nail sizes, it's extra large, it's 2X, XL, and large. Those are the sizes you are going to be the most ordered. And it's really extra large and double X now that's taken past large. We're going to have to buy a small and extra small to give Bryce. And that joke goes to, who said it in the chat? It made me giggle. God, who said it? I saw somebody say Pootie Tang. Pootie Tang said that. I thought that was super funny. Panther Nasty, please say that's my Panther Nasty, my boy from the beginning of the show. I've not heard. I was thinking about you the other day. I hope you're in there. And thank you. Who do we got? Sideshow for saying I don't care what they say about you, Tony. They all love Cody now. Now, yeah, and it would be great if that's what a fortification that is. Here is the question, Greg, and this has to be turned into a poll.
Okay.
How long does the cachet and the charisma, the cachet of his charisma and his demeanor, how long does that fly? And I don't know how to turn this in. We got to figure out how to make this a poll. Is that give him a year of grace with Panther fans? Like, what if it didn't work? How long would that? Oh, I can only control what I control. I can't be phased. I know we're doing the best we can. I'm just putting in the work. And you're sitting there going, we fucking suck. Like, how long would it take for everybody to turn on that?
The question there is, how long is the grace period? 1, 2, or 3 years? I'll put that in the chat right now. Speaking of polls in the chat, I put the same one up as before, but I added AR on there. And like every week, it's gone more towards Young and away from Stroud. It's 53 Young this week, 41 Stroud, and 6% AR. Every single week, it's going more towards Young.
What's your answer, CK? Is how long does, because he's won us here with the personality. We're sitting here gushing. We're gushing over this. Look at our boy up there on getting his award ceremony. He's the shortest one, but look, he had the most free throws made in a row. How long before that would get stale? Not for you. All right, so give me your answer for you, and then how long you think it would take Panther fans.
The problem right now is it would take, because Panthers fans are so split on who they are wanting to be their quarterback, it's going to take less than one season for people to start jumping onto that, saying like, oh, but his size is so inconsequential, but he can only control what he can control, right, guys? I think that's going to become a meme among people who just didn't support Bryce Young if he does not succeed, even if he is a rookie. I think for me, I would give him 2 years of just absolute garbage before I would, throw out the opinion that he is a bust at that point in time, which I still think is early to do it 2 years.
Well, what about if it was just not absolute garbage, but just what if it was 1 year or 2 years of underwhelming play?
I mean, if it's underwhelming play with no sense of like,
but the whole reason is he wasn't supposed to be underwhelming. He was supposed to be
right.
That's the whole thing.
Pro ready right now, and that's the thing is like I agree that would be a disappointment, but I still think it's one of those scenarios. I don't think it's like a Zach Wilson type situation where they're just ready to move on from him.
No way.
Right. I think that he's going to have more time than what the Jets have given Zach Wilson, in my opinion. So for me, again, I give him, before I start to lose confidence in what he could be, I give him 2 years.
But
I think that, go ahead.
Can I ask you, when you say they're going to give more time than Zach Wilson, is that A, because Zach Wilson wasn't traded for, and B, because Aaron Rodgers is coming into the Jets? Like, is that why he gets more time than Zach Wilson?
No, Zach Wilson was benched last year in favor of Mike White.
But they didn't trade for him, is what I'm saying.
Well, he had a year and a half.
They picked him naturally. He came in.
He had a year and a half.
Well, he had a year and a half. He started the first year. Everybody hoped that he would take the step in the second year, and then he ended up getting benched. And then everybody didn't like. No one liked him. Like, they were literally
he's the opposite of Young. It's like, oh god,
yeah, he's the opposite. Dude, he literally is the opposite of Young. He had the big arm. He could make all the throws except for on the field when it actually mattered, and no one wanted to be around him.
No one wanted to play for your mom.
And nobody had him. He never accepted responsibility for anything too. So yeah, if Zach Wilson gets a year and a half, Bryce is going to get a year and a half too. And by the way, that's what
he better get 2. He better get 2. I think that my answer is 3 years for the organization. They're going to go into 3 years going whatever. Like, this is the year we got to figure if it's either happening or not. I think for fans, after 2 years of like not really underwhelming, you're starting to get, you're like, ugh, this was. I think one thing that's really going to make you the most nervous is the first injury.
Yeah.
Agreed.
What is that? What if they're? What if he gets
an injury? Just the first big smash.
Oh God!
The first time that we watched Bryce get annihilated on the football field, and then collectively Panther Nation
locking
closes
arms,
their eyes and bows their head in prayer. Please be alive.
locking arms
Please
together.
Be alive. Oh
But
man,
hey,
that'll be
listen.
the moment.
We all did the same thing when Cam Newton took the hits he did in his first year too. Right? Like Cam Newton.
Well, actually, every time the quarterback goes down, you're kind of, if you like him, if you like the quarterback, you're like, please get up, baby, please.
Right,
get
but
up.
it's also not the same though, because for the same reasons why the team never really built around him correctly. Oh, he's big, he's strong, it's Cam Newton. It can run around. You're not going to be able to do that with Bryce. And people got mad at me on Twitter a couple weeks ago when I said, hey, if you draft Bryce Young, at least that makes the organization, it forces them to always prioritize that offensive line very highly, which is something that we wanted for years with Cam Newton. Now they're forced to do just that because of him being so undersized.
Guys, look, all I'm saying is Bryce Young is my size. Okay.
Yeah.
So when he's back there and he gets sacked and he gets hit by a guy and he gets smashed, okay. Imagine
we're praying
me.
for you.
Imagine
we're
me
praying
being
for
back
you.
there. Would you want to see me in that situation? Do you think I would survive? Is all I'm saying.
Well,
Okay?
we're just rooting for you, man. We're rooting for you to
I
get
mean,
up, just like we're rooting for him. But you're right.
I mean, you're
think
pretty well put together, Greg. Give yourself some
okay,
credit.
but I wouldn't want to have a 300-pound lineman land on me.
Let's read this super chat. Cody, I don't even know about, bro. How about this? Is Bryce, no one's talking about it so much that I don't even really know about it.
No, that's the thing. It wasn't even a big deal. That's why you don't know about it.
Okay.
David Screw says nobody talks about Bryce Young's shoulder injury in college. One of those games, he was going to the sideline and he was going out of bounds and it just fell on his elbow and it kind of hurt his shoulder a little bit. He missed one game that season and then was back on the field, back chucking the ball around. And that was basically just him doing too much. It wasn't even a scenario where he took a hit and then got hurt. He was just going out of bounds, landed wrong on his elbow, and he got hurt. And by the way, the same thing happened to Cam Newton, and that's what fucked up his shoulder for the rest of his career. So
yeah, that was on the Kelvin Benjamin stupid ass shit. If Bryce gets drafted, do we make a T-shirt that or something that says something to the effect of "He's young, leave him alone," or "Good Lord, gosh, you're right." That's gonna be the first significant injury. We're all gonna be holding our bated breath, and like Cody said, the first giant blow up too. Like if he pops up, you're like, oh, this motherfucker can handle it. That's what we'll be saying. But then if he kind of gets up slow, it's like, oh God, welcome to the NFL. We're like, oh shit. Oh shit. Let's jump into the next segment of the show. Fourth segment, housekeeping and cat. With more cat calls, we're getting to you. Boy, there actually is other news when it comes to the Carolina Panthers other than Bryce Young and this quarterback draft. And I got to say, that news, they're migrating back home, man. The weather is getting warm in Carolina. The conditions are getting right. And the bird is migrating home. Zamir Bird is back in the house, Cody Lack. My man, and I am pissed at Panther fans that just like to take random shots at my man for no reason. What the fuck did he ever do to y'all? This is an undrafted free agent who has caught a touchdown on 4 different teams. He's done more than half of the drafted people in the NFL have done. He is as the same size as Bryce Young. It's Bryce Young as a wide receiver. This is how can you not root for him? Chirp, chirp, chirp.
Chirp.
Everybody goes, oh, well, Damiere Bird's the savior. Ooh, boo, boo. They try to make fun of people who like him. No, he's not going to save the team. It's just this. Baby Bird has come back to the nest. He's fast as fuck. He actually catches the ball, and he's had a better career than half of the stupid asses that people want to draft every year. Damiere Bird, chirp, chirp.
I mean, I don't know. Part of the reason why I didn't like this signing was because I'm never going to hear you shut up about him, dude. So, hey, all right. And then also, now him and Shi Smith are on the same team. So we'll be able to do some more direct comparisons and see who does what with the Panthers. Yes, Kevin, I know another South Carolina player for me to fall in love with. I know. My question is, and it's not, I don't even have a question. It's he's going to be the kick return guy, and you could do a lot worse than Damiere Bird. And he was the last Panther to have a kickoff return for a touchdown. So
you know what? That bated breath that you hold when Bryce Young gets blown up.
You have the same thing
every time when Damiere Bird is on kickoffs. Think about this. No, it's like this is how badass this little guy is. He runs in the most dangerous spot in the NFL. The kickoff. He's the smallest dude, and he's like, fuck it. This is how I'm gonna make my living. Let's go.
If I got paid millions to do it, I would. If I was fast
he ain't
enough,
getting paid millions and millions.
He's
dude.
getting
This
paid a
guy,
lot more than I am.
But every time you see him get hit too on a kickoff, you're like that. It's like, get up.
I'll take it. Well, my question is, do you guys feel like, honestly, Cody, like, I'm taking Damiere Bird over Shi Smith. Like, do you not think that Damiere Bird's here for more than just a special teams presence? Like, I'm personally taking him over Shi Smith. So, like, is Shi Smith the odd man out?
Even Shi Smith is going to have a hard time seeing the field now that you have Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is going to be your slot receiver.
So who's the odd man out there?
This is their backups to DJ Shark if he gets hurt.
Okay.
These guys are the top. Take the top off guy.
So who are you taking first? Shi Smith or Bird? Who are you taking first? Shi Smith or Bird?
Who, me?
I don't think they both make the team.
Oh, Shi Smith, because I can't stand submitting to Tony, and I won't do it.
Okay. Do you think there might not be a scenario where they could both make the team? To be honest,
no, I think you're right. I think one of them will be on the final 52-man roster, and one of them will probably not be. And they just signed him, so I don't even blame you for betting on Damiere Bird being the guy.
No, I don't think this signing people really precludes this or that. I think this is just Damiere Bird is more proven and more versatile than Shi Smith is. And you guys think that maybe Shi Smith could have a top end talent that could be higher. He doesn't. As Damiere Bird has just made it in the league, and it's just easier to put him in camp and have a little bit more faith in him going forward than Shi Smith. Brian Burns, though, is the star of this team until Bryce. Man, whoever the quarterback is, and it has to be Bryce Young, it feels like at this point, is like it almost like, will anybody else on the team matter to Panther fans? Brian Burns is trying to get a big contract. We debate whether or not he's elite or whatever. He's over there, Cody, waiting to get back on the field and show people. Let's go to the next spot here. But will anybody even care? Because it's just going to be Bryce Young and everybody else. We went through this with Cam Newton, but we didn't have any good players really with Cam Newton. What's Brian Burns? He's waiting patiently.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like we talk about this every Tuesday, but it's just the looming specter of this Brian Burns contract is still looming over our head. How much it'll actually be, for how long, when will it happen? And I mean, that's kind of the question here. We don't have to spend too long on it, but when do you think we're going to start to hear more talks of Brian Burns being paid?
Yeah, I mean, you know what is maybe this is going to help the Panthers because fans, we're going to be rooting for Brian Burns, but everybody's going to be watching the offense this year. We'll see. Well, no, look, Brian Burns is a necessity by this team. They banked on him. Is that imagine this defense without Brian Burns? I don't care what we think and debate about Brian Burns. This defense without him would be really unsustainable. Let's go next. You guys need to jump over to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I'm saving the site, resurrecting it. It's the year of 20C3. The C3 Panthers podcast is going to. I know this is just perfect time. All the foundation is built for this community to just continue to go to the next level. If you are interested in getting your fan perspective out there, check us out at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. There's ways to contact me on the website. And let's give a big shout out to These Ill Skills putting out,
yes, sir.
Maybe his fourth piece, I think, for the website, really starting to hit a groove and came up with an interesting take as we all hyper focus on the quarterback, is that this important role that Nicole Tepper has played in this offseason that some people dismissed early on as just maybe the trophy wife, maybe someone is like, oh, I don't know, but you know what? She's like, whether or not you didn't think she should have been involved because she wasn't a football person. It seems like it's apparent she has been involved. She's been present at the very least. She has been is very in connection with these picks and the process, and has been honestly and authentically cited by Scott Fitterer in every moment as being part of this process. These Ill Skills got into that role on the latest C3 or Carolina Cat Chronicles article. Guys, Cody, you have referred to this as a woman's touch. You could say a woman's intuition. Maybe she's, at the end of the day, it seems like she's got a knack for peoples and personalities that's helpful in balancing out the billionaire.
Yeah, and I've said this for a while, man. Sometimes it just takes that woman's touch to be able to come in and give you a different perspective on things and allow you to look at things a little differently. Another thing that was reported in relation to Bryce Young is that the meeting with him and his parents really won everyone over. And I feel like
people who interview great. You know what? They interview great too. The Pivot was mentioning them today.
Yeah, and they had his dad. They had his dad on the Pivot with them, and they talked to him a little bit too. But there was that clip. I could probably even find it. It was of Bryce Young giving Nicole Tepper a hug.
The David Newton tweet.
Yeah, the David Newton tweet. And I don't know. I feel like since that moment, like that's the moment when things started to shift to Bryce Young. Yeah. And by the way, like think of it. I think women are sometimes willing to take a more unconventional approach to doing things. And the fact that we're drafting Bryce Young, this unconventionally small quarterback, maybe that plays a bigger part than we're thinking. So yeah, I think Nicole has been great. As far as a billionaire's wife goes, who is a part of this football team, I think that we're proud to have her, and she's going to continue to make us proud.
CK, the Panthers this past offseason, they hired a guy who used to recruit Navy SEALs, I think, for the Army or something.
Yeah,
and he's like Navy part SEALs of their. Run. Yeah, no, for the thank you. Yeah. Ice up, Tony. Special Forces. I can't remember if it was the Army, but maybe it was clearly if they were SEALs, they were in the Navy. But what the reason that this guy's premise is there is identifying elite traits,
right?
Isn't something just like that's what he was in the business of, because there is a character, there's some sort of depth of awesomeness to these guys. That isn't just being the tallest, biggest, most athletic. There's something else. And you can maybe try to find that in business. Maybe you can try to find that in this case in the NFL. I don't want to reduce Nicole Tepper's role as the woman's touch, the women's intuition. This person, maybe her real gift and talent is just recognizing real people. And Tepper last time got swayed by the snake oil salesman Matt Rule, and she's out there going, she would have called fraud.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think listen, we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, but it certainly looks as though again, from the outside looking in, from a fan's perspective, that Nicole Tepper has a positive influence on the direction of the team, the hires that they've made, and quite frankly, the business decisions on the back end of things. How much she has, as far as say in any of that stuff is all speculation at this point in time. But it is an interesting thought to see where we came from to where we are now, because Nicole Tepper did not start out as a respected member. Now, it's not like we were, saying
not
that she
disrespected,
was,
just
right.
not
She
like
did,
a non-conversation.
yeah,
really,
we just didn't have any, thought to give to her with regard to the Carolina Panthers. And now she's been involved in the coaching search. She's been involved, I'm assuming, in the search for this draft pick as well. And
she's been at all the pro days.
I told you, guys, when I went to that show, or went to the game that, when I was with Catman Jr., Nicole Tepper was the one down there talking to everybody on the sidelines, hanging out with the players, the reporters. Like, she was out there.
She's
making
a people person.
She
dude.
was, dude, and it was
That's
clear
a
at that point in
talent.
time. Something. She's in a different mindset as far as like what David Tepper is. So
what I loved about the story from D's Ill Skills, go ahead and check it out on CarolinaCatChronicles.com, is there's no attempt. We don't want to reduce, like, if she's really positively contributing. I don't even want to say if she that we wouldn't expect that. In one scenario, she is making a positive impact on the actual decisions in some way, whether it's Frank Reich or whatever. At the very worst, and I don't want to even insult her. The very worst, she's just a personality counterweight to David Tepper.
Right.
And I think it's more than that. I don't think that that's what it is. But at the worst, in the least capacity, she's provided a counterweight and a balance to David Tepper. And the last time we really saw him, honestly, before the Frank Wright, has been a series of disasters. Right. And like D's Ill Skills said in his article, and one thing maybe we should have put into that article was the Tepper tantrum that the last we saw him after he fired Matt Rule, and it was just, God, like, you didn't even handle the questions well. Now everything's running smoothly. So at the very least, that's it. Cody, the Panthers, they are interested in drafting other people, and they are meeting with people. It turns out two of the people they met with, they just made wait in the lobby as they told everybody they were drafting Bryce Young. But there are 27 other people that they have met with or can meet with. Talk a little bit about some of the names that are coming across the ticker.
So not only could we draft Bryce Young, but we could also draft Byron Young, edge rusher out of Tennessee, 6'2", 250 pounds. Not great against the run, but he is a dynamic pass rusher in the 3-4 defense. As an outside linebacker, he would be a great addition to the Carolina Panthers. Another big name that's gotten everybody excited is tight end Sam Laporta out of Iowa. For those of you who don't know, Iowa is like a factory for tight ends. They've put out so many great tight ends. George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. They've had some other guys that have been there in the NFL for a while. He has met with the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people feel like he might be another pick that could be on the board for the Carolina Panthers. And look, if we're talking tight end, the most exciting one is this monster. 6'8" tight end Darnell Washington out of Georgia. He is a people mover. He was primarily used as a blocking tight end at Georgia. That would be one hell of a piece of protection for Bryce, but he also has a ton of potential to be a big time pass catcher at the next level in the NFL as well. So, yeah, what do you guys make of the direction that we're kind of moving in? Lots of offensive guys on the list and some tight ends.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't hate the tight ends. I think one of the things that I'm interested in finding out is Fitterer was asked about if any of these guys stuck out to him, and he said he doesn't want to name any names, but there's one receiver that was that blew him away.
Yeah, his face lit up after he mentioned the possibility of.
Thanks for giving it away, Fit.
Yeah, right. The dude's not a good liar. He can't lie.
Spill the beans about like his like.
Or he's lying to you to. He could be a great liar.
Oh no! Well, maybe you're right.
Essentially,
he's that
he could
kid
be a
that
great
slept
liar.
over at the house, and you guys
Yeah.
like did something and fucked up, and mom came in there and was like, "What's going on here, boys?"
You broke
You're like,
up
"Nah,
or
Mom."
something.
And he's just spills. I'm sorry, Miss Dunn. I'm sorry, Miss Dunn. I didn't mean it. It was. You're like, yeah, hold up just a little bit longer.
Yeah, I
homie."
know, right? Yeah, don't give out so quick. But Tony, I'm gonna let you lead on this one because this sure was a funny one.
Austin Corbett, who is recovering, is coming back from injury and has been very limited. I think he had a knee injury. Is that right? ACL?
Yeah, towards ACL.
Yeah.
Final game of the season.
So I've been watching him, not watching him. He'll come across my feed, and I saw one time, I was like, man, first time I've been able to get up and make, like, and he cooked out on the grill, and it was just like he's been laid up for a long time. Now he's in this recovery process. He's working out, and all I saw was this, and I didn't investigate it a ton. I did reply to him, and I didn't get an answer. I'm sure he got 100 replies. But he said, how many eggs should be in an omelet? And he said, day 53. So is this day 53 from surgery?
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least with his recovery. I
Damn
don't know
it.
if that's a good question.
That's really disappointed. I was hoping it was day 53 of omelet.
I'm trying to perfect the right amount of egg to omelet ratio.
You thought this dude has been going.
I mean, he's like, man, I gotta stay bulky. I gotta stay bulky and healthy. I'm an offensive lineman. I could lose my. I'm eating.
He's the reason for the egg shortage in America.
Yeah, do you know that Vince? Do you remember Vince Wilfork? Vince Wilfork. He got an injury one time for the Patriots, and he was immobile like this in this case. But he was a little bit different than a guard. I mean, he had to stay at like 400 or something, with a crazy amount. He lost weight. Think about this. He lost weight just by sitting. And the Patriots training staff would have to eat. They were stories. I heard a story, and I can't. It's like, but this is, I hope it's true, that they would wake him up at 4 o'clock in the morning and make him eat a dozen eggs.
Yeah, I believe it.
Like, do you remember that one kid that used to play? Who was that basketball player, Greg, in the 90s or whatever? He was so white. And he was like 7'6", so tall. He was so skinny. God, he was supposed to be real good. God, what was his name? Anyway, they had him on a program. The problem was like he was going from college or whatever, and they had them on the program, and he had to have like 7,000 calories.
Yeah.
It was just like, and the guy, they were doing the interview, and he just like felt, it was like you felt like he was the dude in Seven that they just made eat spaghetti till he died. He was like, I don't want to eat no more, man. Sean Bradley. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
who
it's
it is.
believable, man. Like, to be honest with you, to be able to put on weight and be able to I guess, manipulate the body to be able to grow the way you want it to.
Metabolism's
like
awesome.
you have to stay on top of it. Like that, you wonder why these. Look at who's the guy who played Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Look at this guy. Like, he's in his 50s, like in these movies, and a lot of these in the movies, and he's in the best shape in his life. Because when you have a guy who's waking you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, telling you eat this many ounces of this, then drink this and go to sleep. When you have that science down, it's perfect. The body, you can put the body down to a science and build a perfect body. But who has the time to do it? Unless you're being paid to do it, and somebody's being paid to make you do it. So these things are very possible, but it's just crazy you're right. It's crazy to hear people have to eat that kind of stuff and wake up at this time and do this. But that's the way the body is, man. It's a machine. The body is a machine, a habit forming machine. Build the right habits.
This was homie. This was homie right here.
Yo.
And he was, and please do not tell me that this is true. Hold on, if I can do this. This is this is our rabbit hole. If this please don't say this right here is Deshaun Bradley.
I don't know. Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to know. I please hope it's not him. Bicycle accident?
He looks tall enough.
Ass. Oh, I don't want to laugh at that. Is a giant.
He's a big dude.
Oh my God. He's like, it finally happened.
Well, fuck, no,
All right.
I want to look it up. I'm going to.
I'm good.
Yeah, well, look, we just let the chat do our research. We got our own chat bot.
Yeah, we do.
Our chat bot. Our chat bot
C3
is
chat
bot. Next up.
Oh yeah, Kev wanted me to talk about this one, and this is funny. NFL fans who drink the most, and your boys, the Carolina Panthers. We ranked number 5, baby. Let's go.
I don't believe it. I've been to games before.
A lot of people are saying that they
Which
don't
podcast drinks the most? I promise you this. We do. I do. I do. Just
make
me.
up a lot for that. So yeah, I can't really.
Well, Greg and I out drink all these podcasts. Is that about it in the recent news, my friend? Or anything else? All right. Now we got some more cat calls to go to.
Yeah, do some more cat calls. I'm gonna
All
look
right.
up the Sean Bradley thing.
All right, here we go. Why did I close this? All right. Let's check out who's next.
Yo, fellas, it's Panther fan 2222. I'm going to be getting excited for Bryce to the Carolina Panthers with the number
That
1
was
pick.
him.
I seen my boy Scott today talking about how they've already got a plan in place to book some. They ain't worried about his height. They gonna put some weight on him. I just watch. We gonna win a Super Bowl with this guy. Y'all keep motherfucking pounding. Everybody like and subscribe. Thank you, fellas, for what y'all C3. And y'all keep me awake on them early morning drives when I'm out there running in that 18-wheeler. Y'all have a good night.
I like it.
And keep doing what you doing.
Appreciate that, my dude.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
you, man. Thanks you so much.
We get a lot of those calls, right? Not a lot of those calls, but we know. I love to hear that people are listening to the actual not a podcast. He might have a damn television he puts on the corner driving that much, but I'm sure he's listening on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. And it's great. And, every time that I sit here and go, oh, man, the show is just so long. Should we be doing this? The numbers continue to fly towards the end of the show, people watching live. And then hearing people say this, that we are the OG original. We're the OG long form of podcasting.
Yeah.
We're the athletic of podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely are. By the way, to give you some insight, Sean Bradley was struck from behind by a motorist while riding his bicycle near his home in St. George, Utah, which resulted in a traumatic spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed. A driver attempted to pass Bradley on the left in the same travel lane, while Bradley himself was in the process of passing another parked car on the shoulder of the road.
Oh, God.
Yeah, while the police report notes that the trip information was obtained from Bradley's Garmin device to confirm his speed and general position, the report does not mention any information on police verifying similar information from the driver's speed or position. So, yeah,
when did this happen?
This happened in January 2021.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is a recent
man,
thing.
if you're that tall too, it's kind of hard to be in a violent accident and not, you know what I'm saying? Like you're
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got a lot of real estate there. Man,
Al says how you miss him. Yeah, I mean, really.
That was actually, I kind of thought about that as like, man, wait, you didn't see him.
Yeah,
but
they
that
said he was
anyway.
one of the tallest players in NBA history.
Yeah, it's like taller than Yao Ming, I think.
God, that's
See,
insane.
Up there, yeah.
Tall was Yao Ming. Let's go to the next call.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G Cavassier. Hey man, it seems like Bryce is gonna be the pick, man. Look like Young is about to be the pick, man. He canceled all his other meetings with everybody else and everything, so looks like he gonna be the quarterback. That's what it seems like. But knowing the NFL, you never know. So hey, give me a take on that, fellas. It's gonna be a short one tonight because guess what? Tomorrow's my birthday, y'all. Yo, yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, G.
I'll take it easy. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of hit that, a little bit. Bryce Young could be the guy, but man, yeah, I tell you what, we have been witness to many of these unexpected things taking place. So, there is certainly the potential for that to be an issue.
The number's 252-228-5098. Let's keep rolling through.
Hey guys, the girl that makes out, aka Joey the Blind Panther.
Joey.
And I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I just realized today, and I know y'all aren't really into it. I'm not really into it.
Oh God, this sounds.
I'm just saying. And first of all, this is smoke screen season. The smoke screens are so thick that your visibility is just as good as mine is. So let that sink in for a while. My next thing is, notice the one name that wasn't mentioned, right? Anthony Richardson. You think being smoke screen season, that it's not mentioning his name because that's who they're going to pick? I know y'all are going to go crazy about this, but I really want y'all to answer this question because seriously think about it. Get mentally prepared for it. I know I am. I'm going to have a freaking 2 cases of Corona at the ready for it. Anyway, guys.
Go on that, CK. You said that earlier that you felt like it was almost kind of intentional, the fact that they didn't mention Richardson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know what it means, but it certainly felt as though they were making an effort not to talk about AR. Now, whether that means that they're trying to throw them off of the trail of their potential wanting him, I don't know what the benefit to us right now would be outside of the idea of us trading back. But yeah, that did seem a bit odd.
Yao Ming and Sean Bradley were both 7'6".
Dang, man.
That's insane.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane.
Yao Ming had a size 18 shoe, and Sean Bradley had a size 16 shoe. They both had the same wingspan. Just feel like is that Bradley was just so lean. Yao Ming was at least a little bit more.
Look at Taco Charlton. I think he's like 7'3" right now in the NBA, and he's like a beanpole. He's like 7'3", like 195 pounds. It's insane.
It's interesting. They also have Sean Bradley's marital history up here, but there is nothing just on the basic bio, right? Like where they show the same things. Who knows? Is Yao Ming married? We don't know. Maybe Chinese people don't get married till according to Google. Let's go to the next call.
What's up, man? It's Zach Harris from Kannapolis, North Carolina. Let me ask y'all something. Are y'all excited about this new offense and team, or are y'all suspicious about it? Let me know.
I think we can be both.
Play that one more time.
What's up, man? It's Zach Harris from Kannapolis, North Carolina. Let me ask
What's up,
y'all
Zach?
something. Are y'all excited about this new offense and team, or are y'all suspicious about it? Let me know.
I mean, I'm excited about it. because we've been wanting an offensive-minded football team for a long time. I mean, the Panthers traditionally have prided themselves on a very stout defense, and while we're certainly hoping that doesn't go away, dude, it's hard to not look at the offensive explosion of the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cincinnati Bengals, and not say, well, damn, everyone else is doing it. Why can't we do it? So I feel like if there was ever going to be a time for the Panthers to do it, it would be right now with this coaching staff and with this specific roster that they're building.
CK, I'm nervous, man. More, it's like now is this. I've been so excited about getting this quarterback. I've been so excited about getting the number 1 draft pick at this point. I've been so excited that we got this coaching staff that seems that the pedigree is there, the success. It just seems like now. I'm telling you, as soon as we make that pick, I'm gonna be nervous. And what I mean nervous is like, it's please work, please work, please work, please work. We need something.
A lot riding on it. There is a lot riding on it, and that is the anxiety of it, right? We have a lot of excitement right now, but the moment we pick that quarterback, it becomes our quarterback. That is who we went with.
No more excuses. No more excuses.
There's no more excuses, but there's no going back either. Right. There is no more of like, well, maybe we could go back and, see whether CJ Stroud has a better option at this route. Like, we will have made that decision and we're done. Like, and I think there's a finality in that can cause a bit of anxiety among anybody. But certainly Panthers fans who've been waiting for this moment. And now we have so much riding on it. Since we traded up, it even adds an extra layer of that pressure. So I'm for what we did. I'm for moving forward, but
we're flying in the plane, Greg.
Yeah.
Like we take off. We got to go on this great trip. Like all of a sudden we're gonna go to Cancun or somewhere. It's gonna be all expenses paid. You're gonna rock with like your hero. Bryce Young's gonna be sitting beside you in the seat. And you realize this is you're a little scared of flying. And you're grabbing, your knuckles are grinding on the seat handles, and you're like, I need a fucking Xanax. And Bryce Young's over there like, oh, you can only control what you can control.
Right.
And you're like,
Okay.
I wish I was like you. I wish I was like you.
So let me ask you guys, and I'm gonna lay the groundwork out here. Okay. I look at the last time we were in this position with Cam Newton being our draft pick as a success. Just me personally.
Yeah, I can't remember how I felt at that moment.
Yeah, we didn't win a Super Bowl, but based on everything that I had in Cam Newton's career, I based that on as a success. I loved Carolina during that time. Do you feel like Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, or I'll even throw in their AR-15 can bring you that level, if not more, of success than Cam Newton did in 2011? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
Just in the immediate year.
I'm
already comparing them to Cam Newton, period.
You have to beat Cam Newton.
But I'm not even saying rookie year. I'm saying like this is
overall.
Right. You have if you like Cam Newton is the standard. It's like Luke Kuechly is the standard for linebackers now. Now Cam Newton is the measurement. And I will say I do remember how I felt when Cam was drafted. That 2010 team was just so abysmally depressing that it didn't matter. Like he was the exact person you needed for a team who had nothing. Right. And he brought everything as a player and also the bravado. Like it was just perfect for that moment. I think the stakes feel higher with this pick.
Really? Than with the Cam Newton pick. Okay.
Like I felt like it was only one way was up with Cam Newton. It's like, oh, this shit's gonna be way better than what the fuck we had before. Now I'm saying it's greatness or bust.
I feel you. We're in a better position than we were when we drafted Cam Newton, but I think the severity of this draft pick is the same as Cam. Like we have,
and they have to be better than Cam now. Now we've had Cam.
Agree. Cam's the bar. We have to have at least Cam or better. But
he's got to be
in a better
MVP,
position now than we were in 2010 or 2011.
Totally.
Like, honestly, I feel like
We
we're
were
a quarterback
fucking
away from being a
terrible, bro.
damn good team right now.
I agree. I agree.
damn
And that
good
makes
team.
me anxious.
Yeah. So,
all right,
I
let's
don't
go to the next goal.
What's up, guys? It's Evan Sports Talk here again, and it's an exciting day. I mean, at this point, I'm realizing I still prefer Stroud, but at this point, I'm realizing that Bryce might be our guy. And to be honest, it's still pretty exciting either way who our QB guy or who our guy is and who we take. Because I mean, either way, as long as Bryce doesn't eventually become injury prone, which there's still a chance that happens. As long as either of these guys work out, we're getting our guy, and that's really all I care about, and I'm super happy about it. Excited, almost only a week until the draft. But yeah, I mostly want to call in and talk about the 39th pick and what I think we should do there. Personally, what I think we should do there is I think edge and cornerback. I know in the press conference today they said linebacker and edge are the biggest, like the biggest positions they're looking at, or they're looking at the most. I personally still think cornerback they should look at 39. I think if there's a guy like an Emmanuel Forbes still there at 39, I think they should go out and get him because he's a really good player. I said this on the live stream earlier today that Cody did, and I just really like Emmanuel Forbes, even though he's a smaller, his size, more of his weight than his height is the thing that teams would have an issue with, but I think he would be a really good pick for us, to be honest. And even some other cornerbacks, if they're there, if there's certain cornerbacks that are there, I would also take them. Maybe a Cam Smith, too. Those are two of the main cornerbacks that I think of. Joey Porter Jr., I don't think he's going to be there, but if he's there, I wouldn't hesitate to take Joey Porter Jr. at pick 39. But yeah, and then edge, obviously, I think you get BJ Ojolari if he's there. If BJ Ojolari's there, you easily take him. Or if he's not there and Felix Enrique-Uzoma is still there, you take him or Will McDonald. But yeah, those are some of the. I mean, I would be fine with two. I know I just switched up what I was talking about, but I would also be fine with some linebackers and Trent Simpson, Jack Campbell, and Drew Sanders if they're there. But yeah, just want to say that. Also want to say thank you guys because you and other content creators for teams I like have inspired me to start my own YouTube channel. I've had it for a while, but I'm officially going to mainly sports talk now, and that's why I changed my name to what it is now. But yeah,
thanks,
keep pounding, and let's go.
Keep pounding. You're the man, Evan. Hey, I love it whenever we inspire people to make their own content. That was part of the reason, it's part of the reason why I love the free-for-all. So many of the people that are in the free-for-all are now like, hey, you know what? I do it every Friday with the C3 boys. I might as well do some content on my own. So,
Maybe it's time for us to start our network.
Yeah, maybe
Bro,
so.
I'm telling
man.
you, we got a whole NBA thing starting right now. Just so you
Maybe
know,
it's time
we
for
got
us
an
to
NBA.
just say this is
NBA
this is the
franchise
place
building
to
up.
bring your fan discussion under the
C3 Podcast Network.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys are you're on the sports like.
I will let
we're
anybody
all
out
part
there know.
of these bigger networks in our
I will let
own.
anybody out there know if you are a fan looking to make content and you help in any kind of way with graphics, with logos, with getting things started, hit me up on @thebat852 on Twitter. I will help you out. I love helping people get things going like this. It's great. So
It's awesome. It's
hit me up.
such a grassroots thing. That's what's so great about it. It's like, and honestly, and maybe I don't know if it's just me and my tastes have changed or if the world is changing this way. Is I really don't consume a lot of I don't want to say I don't want to say we're not professional. I don't want to go that far. Is I kind of tend to, I don't know. It's like I get my news now from way far different entities than I would get before. The things I listen to for entertainment have just changed. The types of people they are, and they've actually become people that are, I think, more like me in a way, rather than some high up somebody maybe I can connect with. I don't know. Is that we are in a revolution of content. The number's 252-228-5098. We only got a few more calls. Let's keep going.
Hey guys, this is Connor here with a call in.
And I just want to express my opinion real quick on this Bryce Young situation. So if anyone saw my mock draft that I posted on the C3 website, I had Bryce Young going number 1 overall. And that was like before all this stuff happened, and I still think that Bryce Young will go number 1 overall. And I saw someone in the C3 live chat bring up a great point. And that point is that Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud has just as much of a chance as Bryce Young does getting injured. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks in NFL history that have gotten injured. I mean, Cam Newton, 6'6", 250, he got injured all the time. I'm trying to think. There have been a lot of guys that have gotten injured that the sizes vary. So even if your size is a bit smaller, and even if it's a bit bigger, there's still a 350-pound guy crashing down on you as a defensive lineman. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you think of this. But I'm Bryce all the way, and I think that even CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, they do not have a better chance to not get hurt than Bryce does. Anyways, you go first.
Shout out to Connor, who has been contributing to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. He did a piece on a mock draft, which was something that was absent. We don't really I'll freaking outsource all the draft talk to Cody Lack because you guys have all wasted your fucking time. You'll see all these mugs arguing over who's going to go at 88, and none of them are going to go that way, and they're not going to be any good, half of them. But Connor said, man, look, this is something that could benefit the website. Mock draft put out a great piece in his first one. Now he just did another 3 trade scenarios, I think, blockbuster trade scenarios. Connor, the next generation of C3. We're talking about networks, next generations. This is what's happening with Panther fans. I've outsourced this talk to you a lot, Cody, about the draft. But is this really yeah, everybody has the potential to get hurt, but you don't draft. I mean, I guess it's against the rules for you to like run a F1 cars. Like you can't ride an open wheel car in a NASCAR race. I know it's against the rules, but you also, that one car could probably beat them in a race, but they can't beat them in a NASCAR race.
Well,
like they wouldn't be able to live through the race. So there is something to be said, is that yes, anybody can get hurt on any given play, but that doesn't mean you're not safer in a tank than you are a Maserati.
This is what's called hedging your bets right here. To be sure to be honest with you, like, would you rather get in a wreck in a Mini Cooper, like a head-on wreck in a Mini Cooper, or a F-250?
Yeah,
that's honestly what it comes down to. Which you're right. The
F-250 might get totaled. If you're riding in my Silverado and if we hit an intersection and we're going together, I'm praying for you a little bit more than I'm praying for myself.
Yeah. The F-250 might get totaled, but there's a lot less chance of the F-250 getting totaled than there is that Fiat or that Mazda Miata or the damn Mini Cooper than there is of the F-250.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's hedging your bets is all there is to it.
Yeah. Parents, don't go buy Mini Coopers for your 16-year-old kids. Go buy them.
Actually, they're very good cars for kids because they have roll bars and they're made really good.
Now,
I'm just saying. I have a 16-year-old kid.
Bryce Young,
I have a 16-year-old kid.
I know my son's
with that example, I was talking about size, but yes, but for in all honesty, a Mini Cooper is actually a very good car for a kid. They're just kind of sports cars. So yeah. Anyway.
I mean, it's not a sports car. It cannot.
It kind of is, yeah.
All
right, let's go. My truck. So
let's go to the next call.
This is me, C-Dog, 1983.
C-Dog, what up?
And I'm really pissed off with all this goddamn Bryce Young goddamn bullshit. What's been going on in the fucking media? This nigga fucking 5'10". Fucking Tua can barely take a fucking hit right now. Why the fuck we got them on the goddamn go draft goddamn Bryce Young? Bryce Young can't take a hit from goddamn Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell just got signed to the fucking Falcons.
Here's the counter. That's
right. Bryce Young can't take a hit from goddamn Cam Jordan or the goddamn Saints, and he got there at the end of his fucking career. I mean, I don't know what the fuck going on, man. Everybody was so excited because we hired all these fucking coaches, man. I told y'all, man, Frank White ain't that guy, man. What the fuck make Frank White a motherfucking quarterback whisperer? Can somebody please fucking tell me?
I don't agree with
that. Please. Because he ain't got them to develop nobody. The fuck?
Well, he's not been given the opportunity to, honestly.
And Frank Reich's done a lot more.
I was decided when we had a number one pick.
Yeah.
Frank Reich made
already knew
Phillip
that
Rivers
get
with
CJ
one
Stroud.
arm make a Pro Bowl.
With all this shit right now going on, all this silly shit, Tepper, fucking Fitterer, fucking goddamn Frank White. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm just tired of this dumbass shit, man. Like, what the fuck? How the fuck you trade up all them goddamn picks and don't know what the fuck you want? And then you want to get a little ass quarterback. Like, I really don't know, man.
He's not wrong.
I can't be mad.
Anyways, whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the goddamn like button. Make sure you got them subscribe to this great content. The C3 go live every Tuesday, and every goddamn they got the free for alls on Friday. Then they got the game simulations during the season on Saturday, which I love. I love the game simulations and everything. Goddamn, shout out to goddamn Panther Pickle and this new channel, and shout out to motherfucking G David the GOAT. G David, I know he's gonna be mad, but fuck Bryce Young. We don't want Bryce Young. That little motherfucker. The fuck? What the fuck are we got that's talking about, man? I want to drop a motherfucker who can't take a goddamn hit. Man, I don't know what, man. My goddamn dog. Even my goddamn dog barking. Even my dog barking, man. Like, even the dog don't want Bryce Young.
Take this hit better than
my dog. Even my dog mad about this shit. Everybody have a great day. See dog 83 out. That's what all said. Bryce Young.
My life, that shit was fire. Keep the shit up, bro.
Keep that shit up, bro. I tell you one thing. I bet you C-Dog can take a hit better than Bryce Young.
Oh snap!
That's honestly. Can I be real with y'all? Like, that's my thing. Is I don't want to pull for a quarterback that I feel like if I had to, I could take in a fight. You know, that's kind of my thing. It's like I don't feel like somebody who's a professional athlete I should be able to take in a fight, and I kind of feel like if I had to,
I mean, that's
if I
a
met Bryce Young
reasonable
at a bar,
point. It's a fair
I'm not saying I
point.
want to, but I feel like I could take him in a fight.
Dude,
And
I
I just don't feel like that's my guy, my
I
quarterback.
feel like he would just
Yeah.
talk you out of fighting, Greg, and
Maybe.
be like,
Yeah,
give me his
yeah.
best friend by the end of the night. It's like, oh, you're right. I was so out of
Hey,
line.
you know what?
They're on the same team.
Let's just buy a beer and be cool with it.
friends,
Yeah.
dude.
You're buying him beers by the end of the
No,
night.
dude, wait till he hits you with the hey. Can I pray over you for a minute?
Oh,
Dude, and he'd be like,
No, I
"Oh,
don't. Has he go that far in the religion? I haven't heard that yet.
And
Oh,
look,
dude, he's,
you know what?
he's super Christian, man.
Bryce,
Okay.
if you are drafted to the Carolina Panthers, and when you inevitably come on the C3 Panthers podcast and talk to us about this,
Yeah,
I'm
you gotta
sorry.
be nice.
And,
Like,
and
we
I
can
want
say
to
whatever
talk
we
to you
want.
and tell you I don't want to fight you, and I will pull for you if you're my quarterback, no problem. I just want you to know that right now. So whenever you're ready to come on the C3 Panthers podcast, just let us know because
Will Bryce Young's wife take advantage of him and run all over this like goodwill? Or will he be like, I don't need my self-fulfillment from a wife, and I will not take this from you anymore, and we're gonna peacefully part ways? And she's just like, oh, it's just he's too perfect. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, fellas, this is Al here. So do we want Bryce because we think he has like a higher ceiling and just a higher ceiling?
Oh, Cody.
And CJ Stroud has like a higher floor or something, I'm guessing, maybe, or
Maybe, I don't know.
I think that's what the issue is right there. But not as high of a ceiling as Bryce, but he has like a higher floor. Like Bryce might bottom out, drop out, but I don't know. I kind of take both of them now. I was a CJ guy, but I mean, if they're gonna go with Bryce, fuck it, go with Bryce. All right, guys, have a good night.
Cody, I was just got done typing in the private chat. Not quick enough. Will you take this and talk about that? What he asked is floor ceilings with those two players, but add in Anthony Richardson. But don't leave out CJ Stroud because CJ Stroud might just be a good 6-pack of beer.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, when we talked about upside, it's kind of become like a running joke with CJ Stroud at this point. The Georgia game. Well, that Georgia game showed a lot of his capabilities of what you're going to want to see him do in the NFL. And if he's able to be that evasive and look like Bryce Young in that type of way, and he's 6'3", and he has a much bigger arm that I think is going to lend to a lot more downfield, a lot of downfield passing attacks. Yeah, I do think it's very safe to say that CJ Stroud probably does have a higher ceiling, whereas Bryce Young right now, he's probably as close to his ceiling. Like, I really don't know what to expect Bryce Young
to do much better at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
he's already near where you want him to be.
You would just say this, is I think you would point to Tom Brady. And you would say Tom Brady never had the biggest arm. He was never mobile. He was never this, but he could always do whatever it took to win. So you might not have to throw a 70-mile-an-hour fastball all the time, but you got to get it outside the numbers. So the question is, can Bryce make all the throws? And if he can't make all the throws, then we might be, like I said, being a little too over intoxicated by the talk. Because at the end of the day, I mean, like, here's the thing is Josh Allen. Are you going to go and say this is I wish just Josh Allen was more cerebral? Like, it seems like he's good enough at everything in elite arm strength. Is Bryce Young's intelligence or charisma? That's the elite part of his game. That's got to be the elite part of his game. And I don't know. I mean, is there a real risk, Cody, that he turns out to be like an Alex Smith?
That's
who was
fear,
also
man.
a number 1 pick, who they say was the smartest. Think about this, is Alex Smith was ultimately Bryce Young, but just white and taller.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's not a bad comparison. And Cynthia Freeland on NFL Network, she caught a bunch of flack because she compared him to Teddy Bridgewater, Tua Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater. And we didn't have a great time with old Teddy Bridgewater. So that's been my fear, is that we're going to have a lack of a downfield passing attack. I mean, I don't think it'll be too much of a big deal, but he doesn't have the biggest arm in this year's class.
Or any class. Like, you don't look at him and go, "Oh, this guy's throwing missiles."
Of the top,
nobody said that one time.
If you're just judging arm talent, of the top 4 quarterbacks, he probably has the least of the 4.
And I've made the comparison too. I'm sorry, and I'll bring it up again.
Now we're talking ourselves out of it.
Of Young and Baker Mayfield. Like, I'm sorry, Baker Mayfield and Bryce Young's best seasons are almost identical. And Bryce and Baker Mayfield didn't have the number 1 offensive line and the number 1 defense and all the best wide receivers.
Rifle.
But what I'm saying is Baker Mayfield didn't have all the amenities that Bryce Young did in his last college year to have his best college year. Bryce Young had the best of everything that is the best, period. Offensive line, running back, wide receiver, defense, everything. Bryce Young had the best. Baker did. Well, but he had better than Baker did.
He might have
better than Baker did.
Maybe.
All I'm saying is
I think we make
taller.
just some assumptions because he played at Alabama.
All I'm saying is Baker is taller. You're telling me Alabama last year was not better than Baker Mayfield's senior year?
They were pretty good that year. I think they were pretty good those couple years. But I don't really know, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. The point is that the elite trait, and I'm gonna take some I'm gonna like push back on Keep Pounding. He said Bryce is better than you guys give him credit for. It's sad. First of all, for the first hour and a half, all I did was gush about this dude.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that his greatest strength is not his arm talent. I didn't say his arm talent was not, it was incapable. Right. Is that, like, if you said this, is like, what makes this guy a standout to you? Josh Allen. What makes Cam Newton stand out to you? It wasn't like, oh,
physical
He
ability,
can.
yeah.
It was like this. This motherfucker can do what is a like. Pick the guy. Patrick Mahomes. I would say he has. I don't know. His arm talent is not bad. I think it's like his improvisation is like his eliteness there.
Yeah.
Right. So like everybody has I think the elite trait that Bryce Young has is his like the
His
demeanor.
interviews.
But can I tell you though, the funny thing
I'm not wrong.
No.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah, can I tell you though about the improvisation thing? Like you're right with Patrick
so
Mahomes, the
good.
improvisation thing, but that only works until it doesn't. The second Patrick Mahomes
It's
does
worked
one
the whole
thing,
time.
No, you're right. It has. It's great for
So
him.
it has
But
it. No,
the
it's worked.
first time, I promise you, the first time Patrick Mahomes does the no look pass that gets intercepted and run back for a pick six, or makes the wrong decision.
You mean the
on
2
improv,
Super Bowls?
he's
We're gonna be
get,
like, oh no.
I'm telling you,
we give
I don't
up
agree
on
with
them.
it.
No,
He's gonna get roasted the first time that happens, and he did it.
no.
I don't
Sideshow
agree with
says
it,
he
but
does.
He's gonna
have
get roasted.
Mahomes has the arm strength, but let's just say this is, who is Cody's boy that plays for the Chargers?
Herbert.
Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Like he's got Cody when I've done these shows with him for the past 4 years now. He likes and I love when he says it. He goes, he's got a bazooka.
He
And
does. He
right,
does.
right. So you say Herbert's got and we're not going to say that Bryce Young
About
has
Bryce.
a bazooka.
No.
And I'm not trying to demean. I'm not saying he's not strong enough. Right. What I think is a lot of people say that the comp for CJ Stroud is Jared Goff. Is the comp for Bryce Young, is it truly Drew Brees or is it Alex Smith?
I heard it's Burrow, to be honest with you. That's what I hear.
Okay, Burrow. All right, man. I wonder what is the comp. I think Alex Smith, look, number one is that Burrow won a national championship. He won a Heisman. I guess Bryce Young has had more success than Alex Smith. But that year, it was Alex Smith. We should have. I wonder if that was in the article. I can't even remember. Was Alex Smith and Aaron Rodgers. That was a great QB debate.
Yeah.
And Alex Smith went number one. So I'm not trying to shit on Bryce
And
Young. I'm
Aaron
excited
Rodgers
for him to be
fell.
the guy.
And Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers felt like everybody's saying CJ Stroud's about to.
Yeah,
And let's
yeah.
be honest about Aaron Rodgers, a great individual quarterback, but he's won one Super Bowl in like 14 years.
Which is still better than any.
Okay.
Yeah, like I mean, I would
One
love
Super
to
Bowl
have.
in
What if
14
he was your
years.
bar? I will take one Super Bowl. That's one more than we
He's
had.
also
This is the
lost
last
3
call.
home playoff games in the last 3 playoffs. So I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I'll take it. This is the last call. And it's from a few days back, but people give me shit when I forget when it's only 46 seconds.
Good morning, C3. This is Dylan out of Asheville, North Carolina. I hope
What's
you
up,
guys
Dylan?
are doing well. I'm curious as to what y'all think of us trading our first-round pick with Houston for the second and what that would look like.
We talked about this
Now,
earlier in the show.
I don't think they give up the 12 overall pick, but I can definitely see them trading a first-round next year and maybe throw in a little bit more. And if they got a 4-3 steam, we could throw in Gross Matos as well. I don't see us drafting Bryce Young at 1. I feel like that's just a bunch of
This
smoke
is 4 days.
try to push Houston's hand into trading with us. I think Stroud is our guy. But I hope everyone's doing well and hope you guys have a good day.
Wow. Way to
I like it.
crash it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, is
I like it.
scorched earth territory at the end of the podcast.
No.
What? And you gotta wonder, Cody, as you go to bed tonight and dream about what we're trying to build with the C3 Panthers podcast. I was talking to my dad, who's not a sports fan, and he was like asking, he's like, "What's going on?" And he doesn't really care. He's just trying to be nice.
Right.
And I was saying, man, we've built a really great foundation, but we haven't had the moment, like the excitement moment. Like we need, if this could be the excitement moment, the tinderbox that we built over the last 10 years is about to explode. We need super success or maybe super failure. We need this to be like, we need that crazy excitement. We need Bryce Young to go and get the Panthers to the playoffs this year. We need Bryce Young to be Joe Burrow. That's what we need, is to take the Bengals and show promise right away. And then what? Get them out, except for the injury. We need him to be Joe Burrow minus the injury. And in year 3, we're in the Super Bowl. That's what I want, man. That's what you guys are telling me, Bryce Young. He's so good. And that's what I'm going to expect. Not expect, but that's what I'm going to be hoping for. And boy, this podcast would be lit. We would have to live. Would we?
Yeah.
I think we would all have to get together for the Super Bowl in person and do a live stream of us hanging out. I think that's the way we're going to have to do it.
F that. I'm going to Cody's house to hang out.
Yeah, we'll go to Cody's house. We'll all just live stream it. We'll have, but I don't think we can miss the moment. We live stream everything now. We're like, David Tepper is getting a cab. Let's live stream and talk about it.
Cody, I'm telling you right now. Yeah, if we're going to the Super Bowl, Cody, I'm coming to your house.
Let's go.
For a party.
I'm doing it. We have to, man.
Your house is going to be the most lit college party ever. That's just going to be off the hook, bro.
Oh, dude, it's going to be incredible, man. It's going to be incredible.
Let's hit the news real quick, and we're done with the show. Just a couple of things to talk about going forward. What's going around?
Jalen Hurts. So this is a big one. Yeah. Jalen Hurts is now officially the highest paid NFL player in history. Signing a contract for 5 years, $255 million, $179 million in guarantees. This is, hey, man, to me, this is a part of the argument on why Lamar Jackson should have an agent, man. You would have already had this type of deal if you would have just had an agent, I feel.
Yep.
And
by
the way,
his agent just randomly messaged him. I was like, do you got an agent? When he was coming out of college, he was like, nah. And this woman who's his agent just like just slid in his DMs. And then now she's negotiated the largest contract in the history of
it worked out, man. Nicole Lynn she just signed her player to the richest deal in NFL history. And by the way, shout out to the ladies, because my man Jalen's doing it right. He has an all-female management team from his communications director.
Deshaun Watson. Take that.
That's how you empower women. Right. Shit, there we go. Shout out to Jay. Listen, I like Jalen Hurts. I'm happy for him.
That was
great. And dude, he's one of those dudes that deserves it. Like, dude, when you
second round pick.
Everything that he went through Alabama, he got benched for Tua Tagovailoa, transferred to Oklahoma, was a second-round pick. Yeah, dude, he was.
I'm pretty sure he did.
No, he didn't win the Heisman. He fell short of winning the Heisman.
Oh, I thought they had what? They had Baker. They had like 2 or 3 in a row.
Hey, how about this sad shit? Blaine Gabbert is still playing NFL football.
Blaine Gabbert.
And you know what?
Dude,
I hate it, but Blaine Gabbert is, and Cam Newton's not.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Imagine if somebody said to you in 2012, Blaine Gabbert is going to have a longer career than Cam Newton.
You mean after Cam Newton's rookie year or before he was
drafted?
I mean,
no, like after.
Because before they were drafted, everybody.
Yeah, they thought that they were kind of on equal footing, but no, it's just it just shows you. It's kind of embarrassing. You hate to see it, man.
Do you think it's because of Cam's personality, or is it because you think people just really don't think that he can play football anymore?
I think it's a little of both.
Dude, I honestly don't even know.
A little bit of both.
Probably both.
I continue to say this when it comes to Cam and when it's kind of the personality part, CK, but I think it's this. Is that like when you have Cam Newton, who is 6'5", 240 pounds, really like the best athlete on the field in theory, still like you always pick him. If like we're picking backyard teams in any sport, it's kind of like Cam Newton's number 1 pick. So what I'm saying is, if you're in a team where you need to be a backup and there's any questions about the security of the player. Like every time they throw a pick, we're looking over at Cam Newton, that stallion over there, and we're like, let's get that motherfucker in. He's going to be way better. So it's like this aura that surrounds him.
See, Tony,
that's what I think.
I think that what you're saying is right, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I think that right now Cam has lost that prestige or that aura of being the biggest guy in the field and automatically being the first picked. I think that he's a great athlete and Cam's a great quarterback. But I think that if you put Cam Newton out there right now with a lot of different players, he may not be the first quarterback pick just because of his size. Like
no, not first quarterback, but I'm like, if we're just gonna play horse, I'm always what I'm talking about is if we're gonna play horse, I'm like, I want that guy.
Right.
Oh, we're gonna play this. I want
think
that
he's
guy.
past that point. I think he's past the point of just because he's the biggest guy on the field doesn't necessarily mean I want him to be the number one pick guy.
Yep.
You know, like he's good.
Okay.
But there may be somebody who's better just because they're smaller doesn't mean they're worse than he is. You know,
this is what
best football days are definitely behind him.
This is one of my favorite players, Cody, and
Allen Robinson.
Because when I was first getting the website started, I leaned into the draft stuff, even though I didn't like it because I knew we had to have a presence. Now I learned to outsource it. But this was my guy, and we didn't get him. We picked. He was picked in the second round, I think. We picked Kelvin Benjamin instead. He's had a good career, but not a great career. And like
Benjamin ain't. You know,
good point. Good point. All right. So Allen Robinson did not. Strangely, they really gave him a good amount of money to come to Los Angeles, and Sean McVay, this offensive guru, can do anything. Who even made Baker Mayfield look good. Couldn't figure out how to get Allen Robinson involved, though. Now is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are they finalized the trade for wide receiver Allen Robinson. The Steelers get Allen Robinson and a 7th round pick. The Rams receive a 7th round pick, number 234. The Rams are going to pay $10.25 million of Robinson's salary. Steelers paid the remaining $5 million. Robertson is scheduled to be in Pittsburgh for a physical Wednesday. So moving to the AFC North, and then last but not least, DeMar Hamlin saw a specialist on Friday. He's preparing to play. All specialists are in agreement that he is cleared to resume full football activities. So
that's good news, people.
Good news. I mean, that was such a big story.
That's your boy.
And now it's done. Now it's over with.
That you've listened to or are listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. we chop it up. We chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We've been doing this for 11 years. We say this is we're the longest consecutively running podcast around. Not missed a week, but I want to say we're literally the longest running Panthers podcast as we have hit past midnight, entering the 4th hour. We've got one final segment to do. It's time to ice up. It's our homage to Steve Smith to tell someone in the world to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Cody, let's ice some fools up.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Everyone is fair game. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first. I just found this to be kind of a sweet story that I just like to like. I'd like to like soccer player. His name is Akrif. I'm gonna mess up the name. Hakimi's wife filed for divorce and demanded half of his property. However, she was informed by the court that her millionaire husband owns nothing, as all of his property is registered under his mother's name. Hakim received £1 million £1 million from PSG monthly, but 80% of this is deposited into his mother's Fatima's account. Into Mrs. Fatima's account. He has no property, cars, houses, jewelry, or even clothes in his name.
Man, your mom will never fuck you over, yo.
Ask his mother to buy it for him. So
you can trust your mom more than you could trust that other than your wife.
So, hey man, score one for the good guys. The gold diggers did not get another one. So, ice up, son.
And that just points out to the thing that CK was bringing up months ago, that like in a legal battle like that, it feels like the male is always at a disadvantage in that kind of situation. So this is a guy kind of hedging his bets against those situations. And
Not when your mom's. You are always in advantage when your mom got your back.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
All right, here is my ice up pick. Somebody said this person should never, that this girl should never be allowed to box again.
That almost seemed on purpose.
So here is my ice up is not to the girl. It's to this student sitting here looking at the boxing thing. I'm like, oh, and then his girl goes, oh, he ain't paying attention, and gave him a straight slug. Oh, yeah, that ice up, bro. Don't you're looking all nonchalant over there. You get an ice up, man. You gotta keep your head on a swivel and don't stand in front of a punch. You stand behind people. You think if you're gonna, what if your girl was swinging a golf club, CK?
That's right.
Yeah.
Would you stand straight, but it's right to the off to the side? You'd be like, no, yeah, you're supposed to hit it forward, but you don't know what's gonna happen here.
And not looking that direction, but standing in it. Like it's again. I hate being so cynical, but I look at that as a staged thing as well.
I agree.
Yeah, what a hell of a hook.
I know.
I challenge anyone. Imagine this is that if his head could have been attached to that machine. Have you ever punched those machines and tried to get them to go like they're like you gotta you better get above 875 if you want to have a little hair on your chest. You got to get in the 9s to be a real man, the 900s. And she threw a 900 on that dude's face.
Right. 950.
Right. But at the same time, if that was on purpose and it wasn't staged, she certainly hit him on purpose, because I don't think that anybody in all reality, unless that was in a bar and she was just straight up drunk.
No, it looks like a movie theater because there's a movie thing in the background.
Not missing that. That.
That far?
Yeah.
Well, how about kudos to him then for just taking a punch for a couple of subscribers?
What if he didn't know? What if he didn't know? You know,
she staged it. Is it staged? Look, one more time. Is it staged if she knows, but he
doesn't look like he knows? I'm just telling you.
If not, he doesn't. Bro, he didn't flinch.
I'm sorry, you don't exactly. You don't take a punch like that without knowing.
He didn't prepare. Look at his feet. The feet don't prepare at all? Look at the feet. There's no movement.
Look, she squares up and everything too.
Dude,
man.
she got a hell of a hook coming.
Boom! Oh yeah, there you go.
If it's staged, only one of the actors knew about it.
He deserves an Emmy or an Oscar if that was staged. Let's put it that way.
All right, that's my ice
on his part. I'll go then, real quick. You know what? I try to think about what things to do. I'm just gonna ice up Dalai Lama.
Did we talk about
that's a great one.
Did we talk about it? It's so weird.
I'm not even gonna bring up the stuff right now, but apparently, so like he's meeting with the little boy. He asked the boy to give him a hug. Cool. The boy gives him a hug. He asked the boy to give him a kiss on the cheek. Cool. Kiss on the cheek. He asked the boy to give him a kiss on the lips.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting to get weird. Kind of.
Then he asked him to
the boy gives a kiss on the. Then the Dalai Lama asked the kid to suck his tongue. And the funny, normally I would say this may be like fake news, but the Dalai Lama actually came out and apologized for what he did. So this is real. So
I thought it was a deep fake at first. I thought it was a deep fake.
I did too. I did too. And I was like, this can't be real. He actually came out like a day later and apologized for it. We may be getting to the point of where when you are in politics and you are a certain person in the world as far as clout goes, maybe you need to start taking tests to feel how cognitive you are.
Well, don't they think that he's actually like born of God, the Dalai Lama, or something like a reincarnate? Isn't that what the Dalai Lama is, or like a Buddha
he's
reincarnate?
A Nobel Prize winner. Beyond that, I don't know much about him.
He's like Buddha incarnate.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, wait until you ask your son to suck his tongue, and then when we wait until I see you later, boy. Like, what do you think he has next?
Yeah, I just can't believe when I heard that, and he's still the Dalai Lama.
Eyes up.
So yeah,
incarnate.
There you go. Incarnate.
CK.
That was gonna be mine. That was such a good one. So like it was so crazy. That was that Dalai
Don't
Lama, bro.
don't ask kids to suck your tongue. Fucking
No.
weird. I thought it was fake too, Greg. I thought it was
Yeah,
fake. I was like,
I did
and then
first,
it went. Turned out it was real. All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me at cat_chronicles. Check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com for a lot of fan perspectives coming out. Keeping this, the website's getting a pulse. And you know what? You can give it some CPR, right? And get this sucker alive by checking it out, number one, or considering writing and posting for the website. Cody, you've done so much work with this draft period. Thank you so much. You've been killing it. Today you did a live stream. Watch Cody. Oh, I didn't even mention tomorrow night, Cody, we got to war room it up at 9 p.m. on 704 Charlotte Bounce Show. And we're war rooming against them. We're not allowed to make the same picks. So do we pick AR-15 to screw with them? Number one, Cody Lack, thanks for joining me, man. My will, man. I love you, man.
Yeah, man. You know I love you too, brother. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. Every Friday at 7 p.m. is the show for Panther fans by Panther fans. The C3 Friday free for all. Anyone can be a part of it. That's Fridays at 7 p.m. And I am on a new podcast every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Embrace Debate with me and Desmond Johnson from Believe in Panthers Podcast, and Monty Fetty from the 4-Man Rush. You know him from Twitter. That's every Monday at 10:30. And hey, man, it's the end of the draft season, so check out all my written content at drafttech.com, and where I write first through third round comments for the Carolina Panthers. So come and check out your boy.
CK, the baby's on the way. We'll be here next week. I hope you're going to be able to make the draft party. If not, we drafted your kid number 1 overall. CK, thanks for helping us out tonight.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, we are inducing at not tomorrow, Wednesday, but next Wednesday is the schedule. So
poor guy. You bet. Well, I wonder. All right, well, we'll see. What if CK makes a sneak out appearance into the draft party? Who knows? He's got a lot of things going on. I hope you'll be there. If not, we wish your family, your wife, the best, safe, healthy baby is all anybody ever wants. Greg, the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy, Friday nights. And you know what? A lot of cool stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah, man. I got Friday nights, Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. We are talking about all kinds of pop culture and media stuff, really fun shows going on. But what I really want to talk about right now is Thursdays. Starting this Thursday, the pilot show of the 5 on 5 podcast, where me and a bunch of guys from this show, fans from this show that got with me and want to talk about basketball, are going to be talking about the NBA playoffs. We're going to be 2 games in, but we're going to be covering playoffs as they go through the weeks, our predictions. I think a lot of us are Lakers fans, so it makes a lot of fun for that. We have a great GOAT debate with everything in there, and then we have an all 5 or top 10, a number 1 all 5 starting lineup that we're going to show out there for all of us come this Thursday. But this Thursday is the pilot show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. It's going to be on the Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse Podcast Network. And we're going to be covering just the NBA playoffs for right now. So if you like the NBA and you just want to talk about that, come check us out. Same thing as this. If you're in the chat room and you're talking about stuff, I'll put you up there. We'll comment on what you're saying. But check out Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse, and you'll find that podcast as well.
Cody Lack, take us out of here, my man.
C3 Panther Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.